G'day, guys. Welcome back to the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. It is season 4, episode 15. And boys, I tell you what, we can all breathe a bit of a sigh of relief because the buys are over. We've had a month of absolute carnage. And look, for some of us, the carnage will certainly continue. Don't worry about that. But isn't it nice, boys, the fact that we can just say goodbye to the buys? I've said it all along. Just if you want 2 buys, give it to every team. Same week. It's fair. We'll get a couple of weeks off Supercoach. We can actually spend time with our loved ones for a rare occasion during the footy season. That would be nice for a change, wouldn't it, lads? But Janath, you're straight below me, mate. Tell us, brother, how's your week been? What have you been up to, my man?
Yeah, look, it's been a good week. Obviously, Blues getting up big time. Big win on the Friday night. I think it's fair to say it's the first time in my life that I felt that we're a genuine contender.
Ooh, very nice.
And it's not like lids off or anything, but it just feels different. Absolutely pumped for the boys. And yeah, look, all 3 of our teams looking pretty good at the moment. So that's also a first. Had a good week. We'll chat Supercoach in a little bit. Spilsy.
Yeah, very good, boys. Good to be back on the pod. Very sick last week. Sorry I couldn't make it, but no, it's been a really good week. So yeah, played my first footy game in over a year now on the weekends, which was pretty fun. So in the Bendigo Footy League, we love that, and did struggle early. Didn't have much of an impact playing on the wing in the first half, but then they threw me forward, and then sort of in the fourth quarter, and I set up a couple of goals and got on one.
On the fourth, Spilsy.
Yeah, got on one myself. So I think I'll be staying.
Spilsy, how many Supercoach points are you talking about? What did you get to?
You know what's funny, boys? I've actually thought about that. Because as someone that loves his Supercoach that much, and you actually play footy, when you play and you sort of thinking to yourself, like, what would I be scoring right now? So I did have a pretty bad clanger in the corridor, which would have set me back.
Oh no!
But then I reckon I laid about 3 or 4 tackles in the first sort of half, and then
nice.
I think I had an assist and a goal. So I didn't have much of it, but I think it was a pretty.
Like a Brucey from last week? A Brucey sort of score from the 61 type?
Yeah,
like solid on a wing? It can be a pretty unforgiving position, that wing, as well, remember, for scoring, mate. Sometimes it's like doing suicides up there.
What's that? Sorry, Janath?
Good cash cow there, John Spiller. What do you might get DPP as well, playing a bit of forward time, you know?
Haven't played. Yes. I will be a forward for now on. Haven't played in a while, so there's every chance I'd be a 102k rookie as well. So we're sort of scrambling a bit for those. So yeah, lock me in, boys, as that mid forward DP.
Handy loop if he gets dropped.
Tough wood, mate. I like to hope though. I like to hope that I don't, but you never know. There's every possibility. They're a competitive footy club, but boys, it's great to be back playing footy and really enjoying it. Great decision going back in the Bendigo League. Having a run for the doggies. So Golden Square, really good football club. They've taken out of their wing. So we got the win on the weekend, which was great, and then went to the game on Sunday as well. Play West Coast, who are actually not too bad, boys. I think they're definitely on the up. Like Waterman, he looks like an All-Australian forward. Yo's almost All-Australian. Your boy Gov, Janath, he's almost an All-Australian. They got Harley Reid come back this week, and Tim Kelly, I think, is in the mix as well. So, and Barras, he was marking everything. Couldn't get past him at times. So I don't think West Coast are anywhere near as bad as what people think. So I reckon we got it done. Like, we just did what we had to do. They competed. They took the game up to us, and we still, we managed to score over 120. So really positive. Good day at the footy. So, yeah, love that. And Supercoach-wise, also got a win. You boys complain about the buyers. I don't mind them. I think I set up pretty well this year for them, and I think the buyers got me out of big trouble, and all of a sudden we're back into contention. We'll talk about Supercoach very, very shortly, boys. But, should be good.
Very good, mate. Very good. Well, if you're comparing ourselves to Supercoach players, no one would know this. He's still teasing me about my age pre-podcast as well, having a few jokes. I reckon I'm probably Pendles here. And up and just below me here, Janath, there's a Bontempelli here. The way he's going at the moment, because we'll get to these round reviews in a sec. But
you wear a woolly jumper, did you, DR, when you played?
What's that, mate?
Did you wear a woolly jumper when you played?
this bloke, would you? Yeah, the Reebok pumps and yeah, get out of it, Spills. Cross colours.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, mate. I couldn't help myself.
I'm talking to here. Bloody hell, but
on this podcast.
Oh, this is the best 5 minutes intro. This is intro.
Yeah, I'm taking great. It has been too long. But Janath, last thing I want to mention, mate, before we move on to the round reviews, we need to, because we've got a fair few slides, mate. I'll tell you what, podcast. I'll tell you what, you want some information. Janath Roscoe, particularly from the Third Man Up, their work that we'll be displaying during this podcast is absolutely phenomenal. But Janath, just a big shout out, mate, and a slight apology, I suppose, from me. I had a little chuckle when we were talking about your mate Tom de Koning being a generational type player. Now the media are all over it, mate. He safe to say that he absolutely smashed it out of the park. My old man took your advice, actually brought him in, VC'd him. He's playing Spills in the cashy. Couldn't get over the great man still.
He bought in Kerno as well, keep in mind.
Yeah,
so
and
he was all over the early days. I had no chance on Friday. No chance.
Yeah, he was all over. But Janice, shout out to you, mate, because you're a big advocate for Kerno, a big advocate for TDK, and if you went down any of those two routes, then you would have been a very, very happy person.
It's just my bias, yeah.
Oh, get out of it. Don't be honest about it, mate. Get your head wobble going on, mate. All right, let's get into these round reviews now. Spilsy, top of the pod this week, son. Top of the pod. Well, I've been saying it. You're coming home with a wet sail. And this is evidence of that this week, mate. Look at that green arrow. Absolutely magnificent. Tell us very quickly, mate, about your round.
Yeah, obviously, I did say a couple of weeks ago, last time I was on the pod, that the last buy was easily my best one. So, yeah, only Bont, Dacos and Dowling had the buy this week for me. So it put me in a really good position where, like, Luke Jackson's score didn't even count. So that 66 was cancelled and Rao was the one that took out the worst score of the 82. So it puts me in a really sort of good spot. I think targeting value has been a massive positive as well. So bought in Elliot Yeo, 512K. I just thought it was too good to be true, almost at that price, that DPP. Obviously, boys, I've got Dacos in the midfield, so that swing is just crucial. So if Yo gets down, I can cover it just in a split second, and I just had to get him in, and he delivered. So, yeah, 139 is just beautiful from him. So that was a real positive. Not really a whole lot went wrong as well. So, yeah, the VC on Gorn, that sort of bombed, but then I fell back on Merritt. I was very close to going Flanders. The only reason I didn't is because I was going to the game, and I just wanted to watch me boy towel up. I was a bit nervous there in the fourth quarter, but he did a couple of really nice things in the last 5 minutes that sort of boosted him up to 135. So it wasn't a bad week, but also playing Janath in one of my leagues. So got up on you, mate. But, boys, Janath has three less players than I did over this buy. So I feel like the victory is a little bit hollow in a way because I did have three on him. Yes, his team, boys, like Dunkley, LDU, Kerno, there's so many pods that are going off tap, so we're getting a Jabs review soon. But yeah,
you know what, Phil? Very quickly, I'm just going to hijack this because you put that out. You put that tweet out, right?
Yeah.
And Gov was on like 81 at halftime, and then he spluttered to a 99 at full time. Like, damn,
that's a bit stiff. That's a bit stiff.
But nah,
mate, that's probably a good result. That's probably a good result because he was getting quite dangerous. And as a Bombers man, I was a bit nervous watching Gov just chunk it up. So maybe that jinx was meant to be, Janath. Maybe that's the Dons coming out of me. Sorry to bring you down on the occasion, but got us the dubs. Gov calmed down. He chilled out, and but still a really great player. Like to have that output in the first half is incredible, and I think you're in a really good spot. So good week for me, boys. But I think this is going to test me now. So having a full squad, we'll see who's got the best sort of side coming through the rest of the season. I think we all look to finish our teams this week. If I'm not mistaken, I am anyway. But yeah, all in all, pretty solid. DR, how'd you go, mate? Talk us through your week.
Beautiful, mate. Well, look, not quite as good as you, but again, you had a pretty solid week. I was planning for this one to be a pretty strong one for me. So I did have 21 on field, but 21 options to go with. But all in all, really, really solid. I ended up taking Dogger's score. So Dogger was my last score. I'll rant about a particular bloke in a minute that just did not even go near a rookie type score this week. Brucey didn't count for me, but ended up pretty much the same as you, mate. So I had the VC on Gorn, and it was one of those weeks where I must be honest, I was actually tempted to just lock in the 113 in case of pure disaster. But I thought, you know what? I had it on Zerad all week. He's playing West Coast. I thought, look, if he does get tagged, he sort of scored 125 on Chincotta the other week. So I'm just going to roll the dice here. I want to get as big a score as I can and take a little bit of a risk and end up working out, mate. But most of the team were heroes, to be quite honest. Nat 5, though, not the cover I was hoping. I thought they'd have a bit of an advantage already having 5 there without this 23rd type premium. But yeah, I think I just need to move him on and upgrade that 23rd premium this week, boys. So yeah, solid enough, and finally hit that goal inside the top 1,000. So I remember, was it 4 weeks ago? I said, look, that's probably my goal here. We set ourselves a few goals during the buys, and mine was just to be inside that top 1K, and I'm 990 odd something. So yeah, pretty happy to achieve. I suppose the next one's probably, mini goal probably 750, and anything around that bit of a bonus, I think, from there, mate. But Janath, I'm happy about being 900 and something, mate. Your rank's looking very, very juicy at the moment, inside the top 50, my man. Tell us about your week, mate.
Yeah, so it was a good week, all things considered. Look, going into the week was looking in that sort of 19, 20 range. I'll just put something up very quickly. Just like a couple of the plans I had going on.
Old school,
I'm not sure
love
if
it.
you can see that. But
The professional doesn't need a computer.
He's an absolute professional if I've ever seen one.
And that was plan 2. I went through a plan 2, and that was bypassing merit. And now bypassing merit meant that I took the Gorn VC, 114. Just I wasn't in that Gold Coast Fremantle game. There was 12 players who were averaging 95, and just picking the player that was going to spike was just going to be impossible. And look, Flanders 117, Sarong 121. All that stress for 7 points, not really worth it.
Yeah,
true.
Not bad call.
Yeah. So yeah, what this means though is I set up my team. I did rob a bank, ended up with 370k in the bank at the end of the buys because
wow,
I went Graham, Sullivan, McAuliffe to Kerno, Sard, and Roland. So I'll talk about those back 2 picks in a little bit. And improved over the buy rounds. Look, at this rank, I don't know. Every single week has to be good because I scored 8,185 points over the 4 rounds and went up 39 spots, which feels good. 282 to 243, but it's like the stark movements happen around like that 1,000 range DR. Like, look, you went up 480 ranks in 1 week. You can't. It's impossible to make drastic moves up here because everyone's just so good up the top end. And look. This week, I reckon on Twitter as well, the Swordplay boys killed it. Like, look at these scores this week. We're smashing it, boys.
Yeah, did a good
very,
job.
very decent, boys. Very decent as a crew here. And top of the pod, we've just talked about this rank, Janath, but mate, 243, absolutely phenomenal. As I said, I'm coming in second at 911. And Spilsy, remember we were chatting, I think it was last week, and I said, guaranteed, mate, you'll be in the 3,000s. This week, absolutely come to fruition, mate. 3,325, mate. Absolutely phenomenal, mate.
It's possible with the right moves and some luck spills. Like top 1K is not out of the realm of possibilities here, mate.
You know, a funny fact, boys, or a bit of a stat. You love a stat, Janath. In all of my time of playing Supercoach, boys, never had a top like inside 1K finish. I've been like 1.3 multiple times. Like I've been 1.2, 1.3. Like really knocking on the door, but never cracked in. Like I got very close in 2022. Like I was about, I think I was 1.1 and I was just flying. But then Hewitt's back obviously went and then had no cover. There's Jace Berg with me cover the rest of the season. So big lesson learnt there. But that costed me like a 3-digit rank essentially. So yeah, I don't know if this will be the year, but like if I be ranked, 999, I'd be absolutely stoked with that. M1000 would be fine, but yeah, that's a big goal.
I'm sure you'll get there, mate. If we can all get in the top 1K, how good would that be?
Oh, what a team effort! But yeah, you boys looking very good there. That's for sure.
Well, Spilsy, You were just talking about it, mate. So what we'll quickly do now, as you mentioned, mate, we are pretty much looking to complete our sides this week. People may be interested, probably not as much with my team because I do my round reviews each week, but particularly with your two boys' team because they may not see it as often. So we're quickly going to show everybody, although this is a podcast, it is very much a visual. Is there a name for a visual podcast, like a vodcast?
A podcast.
It's
It is.
a bit
I
of
just
a
thought I was making
podcast.
that
We
up.
do a good job of that, like having these
Absolutely.
images.
Oh, the table king over here, mate. Yeah, but we'll quickly show you what our final sides are looking like. So, Spilsy, quickly talk us through this, brother, how you have basically finished your team for 2024.
Yeah, so the one coming in, the bit of an elephant in the room there at F6. So Simkin, I may as well talk through that because he's the only one really that's not locked in at all. But pretty much, I liked Kerno. I think Kerno can definitely be more of a keeper. But my goal is to grab a Rankin. And unfortunately for me, my cash gen, as you can see, it's pretty dead, to be honest. I mean, without Dowling, there's pretty much nothing. I think Jones is knocking on the door for coming back, but I don't know if he'll make enough. Hutchison's a regular sub now. That was always a risk jumping on him. So Simpkins put out a 127 or 114, something like that. He's had a really, as a result, he's turned up 2 weeks in a row at 400k. So negative 16 break even, I want to say. So he's a bit of a short-term hit. So I've got, you can just see there in the top right, 112k in the bank. So my goal, boys, is to hold Simkin in there for a few weeks or so, whatever it takes, and then jump on a Rankin, whether he goes up or bottoms out. And then hopefully, if I play my cards right, and it's all about timing here, if I can get Rankin at his cheapest or trade out Simkin when he's sort of maxed at his price, hopefully I've got a good 70 or 80k in the bank with one more trade left. And that'll be my insurance trade, my long-term injury. I've got DPP everywhere. I think if I can get Rankin in there over Simpkin, I think the forward line, it's pretty hard to beat. I don't think there's a real, other than a Kerno over a Jackson maybe, but I don't think there's many real points in it. So that's my sort of strategy. But other than that, everything's sort of set in stone. I think the defense is as good as I've ever had. Mid, a little bit bleak there of Rao and Gray. I think I can hit form. And then obviously the Gaundy combo. So, yeah, really solid. Just want to fix up that forward line. So not really a whole lot else to add there, boys. What do you reckon?
Nah, looks awesome, mate. The projected looks great. Just one thing I'd say is I imagine that you're bringing in Geordie Payne this week. I'd probably move that to a Sard just because you can open up that defensive mid link there in as well in case when
got that with Dacos, mate. So Dacos.
Yeah.
So
so you can get Dowling on. No, you're right.
That's the only. I have flirted with Sard, but yeah, I think I'll probably when I get Simpkin up to Rankin, I'm only gonna have one more trade left. So I think Dawson and Reid are gonna rot on the bench, which is a big shame because it's a bit of a waste of a spot. But yeah, what would happen? I think the only risk is the defenders without DPP. If one of them goes, I'm in trouble. But that's what that last trade's for. But let's say if a Yo does his bloody Achilles or whatever he does, I mean, he's very injury prone.
I just trade him in. Bloody talk about Yo doing his Achilles.
It's hypothetical. It's a hypothetical, boys.
Bloody hell. We'll do it with Houston. Not Yo.
Houston doesn't have DPP.
Houston.
I'll do it, Martin. Let's say Nick Martin's playing forward. He's having a howler and his roll's got it. So Martin comes in for Dacos, and then I can I'll have Dowling cover, or hopefully the other guys I got Payne there. Janath, he was the number one pick of the mid-season draft. So if there's any chance of him playing,
you're going for that playing player.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Any cover's good cover. So anyway, boys, that's my sort of strategy moving forward. And then, the last trade would get me a bit of cash gen. So, if there's coming into finals, there's 3 weeks to go, and get a rail up to a Chalor, that'll be some sort of example if there's no injuries or carnage. But, the Simkin to Rankin, that's the play. I think Simkin's going to make more money than Kerno. That's the decision I've had to make, which is a tough one because I really do like Big Charlie. So, but you can't have them all, boys. And I'd love Rosie there, but that's another story as well. So
Yep.
All
right. Well, Spilsy, looking very good, mate. I'll quickly move on to mine. Now, you'll see Jai Caldwell here. So this is probably giving away my trades here. I'm still not sold on this. Like, there's a lot that I could do this week. So I won't get into the trades yet. I'll just talk about how the team's actually looking. So, yeah, from the backs, you got Dacos, Ryan, Sheasel, Dale. Really happy with those four. Yo was at risk versus reward selection last week. Looking at his average, he was still top 6 average. And I know that the durability risk's obviously there. He's done his groin. We understand that, but I only need him for half the season, and he was absolutely fantastic and a fair pod in the 1%, top 1%, which is nice. Nick Martin, obviously there. Now you see Dawson Reed, obviously a dead bench here, but Dawson's a really, really important link down here for me because in the forward line, for now anyway, I've got your Sexton as well as your Fisher. So they're the two boys that are going to be covering there. In the mids, you got Bont, Neil, Zeret, Sarong, Butters. So very happy with those top 5. Walsh, I'm happy enough with now. I've come to terms that I own him and not Dawson. So it is what it is with Sam Walsh. Tom Green, I'm just not moving on. You're going to get Pure, you're going to get absolute gold, but he's staying there for now. It's this bloke here.
That's
I'm not going to talk about him too much now because maybe a preview to my rant. But this is a big concern here. You got Dowling Brown there, so DPP all over the shop, and then Sard, just an extra loop in case I'm desperate and I need to get someone down here. Gorn and Grundy, very, very happy with that. And then your Flanders, Heaney, Zorko, Fisher, happy enough. And then you've got your Jackson, Caldwell, and Sexton. So depending on who you want to view as the 23rd man, you'd probably view it as Sexton. But to be honest, it's the big question is, do I even field a Sexton or a Dogger? That's the issue for me. And then you'll see Mr. Tholstrup here. This is the other big decision I have. Do I actually go with someone who, well, he's actually on the bubble this week. I actually rated his game, love his haircut as well. Thought he actually did a good job. And go for someone who I think has a legitimate chance with Petrarca out of finishing off the season in the best 22 and giving me just a warm body there each week. But as you can see, I'm not able to loop at the moment. You can loop with your Dawson, but timing wouldn't allow me, for example, to loop a Sexton with a Jackson this week. So do I go with Tholstrup as another warm body? Because you notice my man Bruce isn't there, unfortunately, anymore. Or do I just go with a loop to make this a lot easier here? But yeah, Caldwell or Curnow probably for me at the moment. Or else I could just go really crazy. I could do the same trade, same outs, and even get a Chad Warner up here or a Jordan Dawson.
No,
so
I wouldn't be going near Chad at the moment.
Nah.
Look, probably the biggest tag for it.
It would be Rosie, if anything. And look, that's the last thing I'll quickly say. As tempting as it is to get Rosie over your Caldwell, just say you take Caldwell out, that means a Dowling's up here, Sexton's on field. I'm not actually able to loop between two forwards. And if I get that forward injury, then Dowling's probably the bloke that comes on. If I do this up here, I can still get anyone to actually come on into my midfield. So for me, I've gone with a forward option because of that reason, not because I rate Caldwell's scoring ability necessarily more than Rosie. Look, Rosie's so much cheaper, so it kills me to have to do this. But I just think with Rosie being a mid only, it's not going to suit my particular structure, given the fact that I haven't got your rank in there. I haven't got the strongest, let's just say F6 at this stage. So,
do you know what you can do this week, mate? Is with Oliver, possible berry tag. I put the E on Oliver. Move Sexton up for Dawson. Put the E on Sexton as well. See how he goes, and then choose the best between those two scores using Nicky Martin and Sard as your loop. So that should work for you this week.
He really is the brains of the operation in the DR.
How does he see that?
He doesn't miss a beat.
He's got different vision.
It's the
DPP. I'm just staring dumbly at this screen here at my two, and Janath's just got the cogs.
Do you see what I mean, though?
No, absolutely. While we're looking at this in 3D, Janath's in 5D or something, going like just some crazy stuff going on here. Thank you very much, mate. That is elite. That is elite.
That is the strat, I reckon. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I reckon it's pretty easy this week for any Clary owners. You put the E on him, whack it on. You can also see what he's going to be worth at the end of Friday night, so you can structure any trades. If you're going to trade him out the following week, if he goes well, happy days sort of thing. So, yeah, I think that's just the safest thing to do for any Clary holders out there.
Beautiful advice, mate. All right. onto the gold standard
Oh,
here.
what a team. Oh, my
Onto the
God.
gold standard. You'll notice that there's bloody two
The
Millers on the
pods.
bench. Give me a spell, Janath. All right. Take us through it, mate.
Look, it's not perfect, and I've made mistakes throughout the year.
Oh,
But-
come
but-
on.
Bugger's Bills. How would it feel owning a team like this, mate?
I'm happy
Please.
with the team.
Oh,
I've got a
shut
weapon.
him.
I've got a weapon. An 8% owned Luke Davies-Uniacke. He's too expensive now. Like,
What happened? What actually happened to him?
You
Did he?
deserve it. You
happened?
absolutely deserve
I was calling for it
every
as
point
well.
that he gets, mate.
Oh man, holding him through and then asking people to trade him, and no one listens. And he goes like this. It's like it's like it was falling on deaf ears.
Mate.
But look, if we look across the board, Dacos, Ryan, Sheasel, really happy with those three. Same with Houston. Gov, I would love Jack Sinclair in there. So I've got 47k in the bank with this team. So 4 trades left. So there is the possibility, but I'm going to hold the trades. I just think it's not worth it in trading away, especially with like these tags and stuff. And we'll talk about Sinclair, possibly McEntee and Jordan back-to-back weeks. And Nick Martin at D6, I feel like that's a pretty common 5 out of 6, apart from Gov there. In the midfield, Bontempelli, Strong Butters, I feel like most teams have them. Dunkley's the sort of pod to Neil that's like, the 144 is looking really good until you told me Neil went 148. Like, it's just, after seeing that, I held on to Jack Steele, because if the Brizzy boys are doing that to Port, then there should be a good chance Steely bounces back. But that's the beauty of having Tuke Miller in there, really, is, Connor Rosie, sorry, as the M9 is. I don't have to field all 3 of Steele, Rosie, Tuke. I can choose the 2 out of 3 and probably choose a line of about 110 with that. And it's really reassuring to see Tom Green bounce back here. 110 is probably going to be it, but it'll be very matchup dependent, because it's pretty predictable, the tags, I feel. Like, who's going to tag who, unless there's one completely out of the realm. So if it's pretty obvious that Tuke Miller's going to be tagged 1 week, or Tom Green's going to be tagged 1 week, that's where the E or the looping is going to come in, and maybe the bar goes down. If there's a clean slate, maybe the bar goes up. We'll just have to wait and see. Max Gordon and Tim English. Look, hopefully Tim English comes close to Brodie Grundy. That's probably one of the biggest regrets I made this year, in terms of going early off of Grundy and then going to Marshall and then going to English, when simply it was just overcomplicated, overthought it. Bad mistake.
Yeah, we all did, mate. Yeah.
But at least you boys have him back now. I'm stuck with no speaker over here. Sam Flanders, Heaney, Zorko, love that. And then
that's
Rankin,
the best forward line like you could ever.
Rankin, Fisher, Kerner. I think I've made my days saying that Jackson is going to be a break class in case of emergency, and I've saved enough money to go steal Jackson whenever I need, I think. If Jackson's playing with Darcy, perfect. I can't see a world where Jackson can outprice Steele unless Steele drops a stinker. That's sort of what I've come to.
Thinking, man. Yeah.
And then look, if you get Jackson opens up the whole field. Because if Jackson's at F7, Fisher up to cover the defense, Zork up to cover the mids, you can loop in the forward line, you can loop in the midfield. Like, Rosie's okay for now, but that's the contingency. If Rosie's looking good and Steele isn't, it should be able to jump off, hoping price permits. But yeah, boys, anything, I guess Fraser's there as well, if there's any forward line injury or something to cover off temporarily, given he probably has good JS at the moment. We just wait and see if Nick Caulfield comes back in. Hopefully Fraser holds.
You wouldn't want
a good team.
You wouldn't want a different forward line. Janath, quick question.
Nah.
If you could change anything in your, like I'm talking about your 6 on field, would you? Is there one player you'd trade for any other forward option in the competition at the moment?
Probably not right now.
No.
Kerner's the one.
That's what I'm saying. It's pretty much the perfect forward line for mine. You wouldn't change anything. You've got your DPP with Fisher there. That's obviously going down back. You've got that key forward with that big ceiling. With a really nice draw. You've clearly got the top 4 forwards. Like, you ask anyone that plays the game who's the 4 forwards that you love in your team. I guarantee it's your top 4 that you got there. It's elite, mate. It's elite. Probably, yeah, I agree with you. Probably that English selection could be a bit of a make or break.
That's the one, I think. And Steele,
Yeah, but
English,
again,
Steele, and Miller. Those are the 3 picks where I'm like, I just don't want to watch them play, but I'm going to force to watch them play.
But in saying that, though, Steele, we've seen what his numbers were like early on the season. That's why someone like myself jumped on him. So he's got the potential. English on his day has one of the biggest ceilings in the competition. If you look back to last year, I know it's 2024, but they're all players that actually have the potential to actually perform. I know there's some question marks there, but it's not as much of a hope and a prayer as it would be with other players, I think, with the history that these guys possess. So I think you're in such a good spot, mate. You've thought about your DPPs, and that's what we'll quickly do before we go into the next section, mate. Quickly take us through what you want to show us here, mate.
Yeah, all I was just doing with regards to Loop is try to have a look at what the fixtures look like. And the big decision for me on the Saturday night was go for Locke Rawlinson, who probably won't play for the season, compared to a Clayton Brown, who was playing. And then I just came to the fact that I want to be able to choose the player if someone gets injured that I trade in. So I don't want to have a Clayton Brown in there as cover sort of thing if it's a 1 week sort of thing. And that's what having 4 trades I feel like sort of facilitate. Whereas if I did the Steele to Merritt sideways, to get to this team, I'd be left with 2 trades. And I was like, that's the sacrifice I wasn't willing to make.
Yeah.
So looking at the Loops, the Essendon fixture isn't great. The North Melbourne fixture isn't great. And that's why I don't recommend going for Geordie Payne, mate. Look, they play the first or the second game they ran 5 times the last 9 rounds. So basically, you're just
maybe a Rollinson.
Rollinson. Look, they got 4 Sunday games, and I think the West Coast Geelong game in the final round is more likely to take place after the North Hawks game because Hawthorn's looking good. They could be pushing finals by that point. And then Essendon Brisbane, I reckon, will also happen quite early in round 24 as well. So that's one that I don't think Saad will be overly great for. And then if you look under that first black row, that's like the mids that would be in that rotation with Rosie. And then below that's Cannon Jackson again, what was sort of contemplating whether or not Jackson or Rosie would be that 23rd. Settled on Rosie. That 66 was just a nail in the coffin as a non-Jackson, and it just didn't give me enough confidence to go there, especially with how good I guess Darcy's looking right now. Quite
Thank goodness that score didn't count. Oh my god, it was projected
135. It was ridiculous. Like
I don't get it. I don't get the projections. They are so off. But yeah, anyway, carry on, man.
This is very team specific, boys. So yeah, just thought to give an insight into the viewers as to how I was looking at the Loops, what the best loop is, and we'll chat a bit more about the 102.4Ks in a bit.
Beautiful. And I'll tell you what, for anyone, I get asked this question from time to time. What's the difference between a good coach and a great coach? Whenever someone asks me that question, I'm going to say, rewatch the last 5 or 6 minutes of this podcast. That is the difference. This stuff here that you see on the screen, there's, I know you
don't get it anywhere else. You wouldn't.
I know you get embarrassed by me saying this. I know, but this is why this bloke is ranked where he is at the moment. It's not through luck, and there's a bit of luck in the game. I understand that, but this is why. This is the sort of work that goes into being an elite coach of the game. I don't know if there's 160 odd thousand teams. We're looking at someone in the top 250 here, and this is exactly why. So, well done, boys. Everyone's looking pretty good. Hopefully, big run home for us, fellas. Now, I'm going to
take us away, mate. Let's go. Give it to him. Whatever is coming, he deserves.
Spills. Oh, man. What on earth was I thinking? Actually, sorry, I'm going to drag you into it as well. No, well,
look at those eyes.
I am. I'm going to drag you in at the start because you did trade him in, but you were sensible enough to get the bastard out. I'm telling you, this was one of the most frustrating, if not the most frustrating Supercoach watch I've had almost career. I'm talking here. It's not as bad as someone I'm not saying this, but much rather as someone just get injured not concussed, but that's not good. Injured in the first minute, and they're just
Callum Mills.
Like Callum Mills. I'd rather just Callum Mills. Like that's it. bang, all right, we're sad, but that's it. To have to watch it, right, to have to watch this performance, it was as painful as it gets. And just God bless the Supercoach gods that it was a best 18 round, because if it's not a best 18 round, this is more than this is just it's absolute carnage. So here's a tweet here, boys. This what was this? This at halftime, is it? I think this at halftime. Clayton
Yeah, I
Oliver,
think it was, yeah.
4 effective disposals, 4 free kicks against, 3 Supercoach
points.
Get in the bin. Should have fielded Kynan Brown. He was a sub at this stage, because I was thinking, well, at least I just know he's on the bench. My expectations are low. What's going on with this fella? And do you know what
it
I
was
think?
quarter time, that. I think it was quarter time there, maybe.
Nah, this was definitely halftime.
This
He'd
is
given away the
halftime.
50. He'd given away the 50 as well.
Yeah,
2
like I
50s
think he
maybe.
had 5 touches
sagging.
maybe at this point, but there was 4 effective disposals, right?
He was
But
so rattled.
It's an absolute
Will
joke,
Phillips.
mate. Will Phillips, big bad Willie Phillips.
Yeah.
Rent free in his head,
on.
boys.
Rent free.
Bill.
He had a state. Yeah.
I think I do know what is slightly wrong. And I actually think back to George, and this is why George didn't jump on him. He's big with injuries, preseasons, all the rest, George.
Yeah.
He didn't have a preseason, this bloke, or basically no preseason. I really think that's starting to show now. I'm starting to believe that actually that this is part of the reason why this bloke is getting affected. He just didn't play with energy. He was getting frustrated. And coming up against Brisbane this week, you mentioned it before, Janath, that, Jared Berry's going to give him a very hard time. And Berry's had history on Oliver before as well. So it's not looking good for Clary. And pretty much rant over, boys, but let's get into a quick discussion, because I think this is going to be a very, very popular question this week. Do we trade Clayton Oliver to Connor Rozee?
Can I just
We know
jump
that
in
Clary's
real
in
quickly?
form. We're making money here, not a heap.
Yeah.
Rozee looked really good last week. Scored, what was it, 118, a decent enough score, whatever it was. And this bloke just did not look anywhere near it. Like Nat Fyfe last week, just slow, lethargic in a way. What are we doing, boy? Well, Spills, you've already got rid of the bloke, right? So you don't have to worry about it. Janath, you were never silly enough to even take a sniff. Clayton Oliver, like we were, mate. But I'm sort of at the point as well. I just went through my final side, and you saw that I got that 23rd man. So another option for me could be to go down from a Clary to a Rozee, and then go another 23rd man, or else I could even go from a Clary and get someone like an LDU or an Errol in instead of going for that 23rd.
Wow.
Do I actually bolster up? So I'm going to get 2 discussion points here, boys.
Yeah.
First one is, and we'll go through these separately, but the first one will be, would it be worth, in someone like my situation, when you've got him at M8, do you go your 23rd premium, or do you upgrade this man here who's going to be on field most weeks to one of the guys that are rising to the top? I'm going to say Errol or LDU just as 2 examples. And then secondly, do we go down if we've got him at, say, M8 to a Connor Rozee? So, Janath, I'm going to ask you, we'll start with the Rozee question then. We'll start with the Rozee question, because you're actually bringing in Rozee this week. So you're obviously a fan of the pick. If you're in this position and you own Clayton Oliver and he's currently your M8, yes or no, are you trading him to Connor Rozee? And I'm going to say we've got 5 or 6 trades in the bank to give maybe a little bit of context.
Yeah. I think there's 2 parts to this. One is the pretty obvious fact that Jared Berry will go to Clayton Oliver. We saw it makes you wonder that during Clayton Oliver's heyday, how the fact that he evaded so many tags because of Petrarch in that midfield. And he was just so rattled by it. I guess the second part to this is the fact that Port Adelaide, probably coming off one of the worst losses in the Kenny Hinkley era, as a captain, and this will be a really good test of Connor Rozee's captaincy. He should be in for a big one. Depleted Saints midfield, at Marvel, under a roof, bounce back game. Like if it was a Max Gawn, Bontempelli type, you'd be locking them in for a 150, this kind of game. Can Rozee deliver to that? I think that in together, if you're all the things you're saying, 6 trades left as your M8, I'd more than comfortably pocket the 50K from Oliver to Rozee this week and use that for future trades as well. If it's an M9, it's a different situation because you could almost shield Clary's score and screen it really on the Thursday, like yourself, Dia, and have a look and see just what that score is. You could even do something, shift a few magnets that, because I guess the problem with Rosie, he's got such a low break even that it's probably this week or never. If he goes 120, he goes up 35k, 445k. Clary goes 100, he probably loses, what would that be? About 17k, and they're the same price. And you're just toying up that sort of thing where it's like, all right, what is the worst outcome here? I think that's the way to look at it. Because if Clary goes a 40 on field and you don't pick up Rosie, the tables shift so quickly, not just with points, but also the cash that you could have got as well in that trade. So that's how I view it.
It's hard to disagree, mate. All right. Second question.
Yeah.
My position, are we going the 23rd, or are you going to upgrade him to one of the best or the best of the best, mate? What do you think is more important, getting your 23rd premium to be able to maybe loop with someone like an Oliver, if you're going to go that way, or just go, well, let's not worry about looping. Let's just upgrade him to someone that's going to hopefully give me a really nice average from here until the end of the season. LD or Errol?
It's quite sad, but I think given that it's Clary that you're talking about, I think it's just better to go up to an LD or Errol or one of those big Uber mids that you don't have at the moment, because the thing with your 23rd is you want to see a spike score. Like, you want a player as your 23rd that can get you a 120 or 130 that makes it really easy to put on field. Right now, I can't see Clayton Oliver scoring 120 or 130. And so there's really no benefit in having that cash on your bench when you could really use whatever cash you can get from elsewhere and get him up to an LDU's gone 145 plus 3 in his last 5, I think. Or 3 in his last 5. Hasn't gone below 109 in his last 6. He's get on board, mate. I'm happy to have you on board. And same with Goulden, 2 150s in the last 3. Yeah. Probably one that we didn't talk enough about, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because we were thinking about the inconsistency, but he's just a Rolls Royce, mate. Seriously, Sydney are so lucky. He's the one that I would start a team with, I reckon, out of those big 3.
Big call, because they're all superstars, aren't they, mate? I actually, about a month or 2 ago, Max and I pulled the Errol Goulden Brownlow predictor select card, and we're thinking, we're thinking of Isaac. Hey, who knows? Who knows now, mate? Rising in value, that Errol card. So, look, it's really hard to disagree with that, mate. And
what does Phil think?
I can't believe we're in a world where we're going, let's upgrade to LDU at 600 plus. We talked 2 months ago.
It's probably too expensive.
Doing that. You think you're a nut. But again, that's why it's kudos to you, mate, for sticking fat with your boy. Spilsy. So, question for you, mate. What do you reckon about Clary, mate? Do you think that we upgrade to, well, when I say upgrade, we're technically downgrading, but it feels like an upgrade to Connor Rozee and bank the money? Or you're going for a different type of you're going to go all the way up, maybe to an Uber if you've got the cash? What are you looking to do, mate?
I think, if I was in a situation where I held this long, I'm definitely moving him on. I feel like he's going to drop a lot in coin, and I feel like there are more tags coming. Not only has he not had a full preseason, and it shows. I remember saying last time I was on the pod, or maybe it was a pod before, but when Oliver was in my trade plans, I said I was a bit stiff on him. I went after him, but I said he looked fat, he looked slow, and he looked disinterested. And
harsh, but
a bit of a drive by you, Dan. I apologise, mate, but it was a bloody great watch for me on Saturday. I was cheering.
I'm not Spills. In my agony, you get comfort.
But I jumped off. Right, I jumped off because I didn't believe in it, and I knew without Petrarca there was every chance against North that it could bite me in the ass. It was a big risk, and it was bloody awful, wasn't it? I've never seen an output like that from a player with his sort of ceiling. So
It was sad.
yeah,
it was sad to watch. Actually.
it was sad. It was actually kind of sad, wasn't it? Because we know what Oliver's about. Like he's one of the best contested midfield players we've seen in the last 5 years or so.
He's already in the Supercoach Hall of Fame. This guy is already, if you cut his career short now at his age, he's already in right up there, mate, in the Supercoach Hall of Fame.
100%. I think, like, I don't want to say the pick's dead, but he's got a high break even. He's an easy drop down to Connor Rosé, who's going up, or because he's still at an elevated rookie price, if you want to put it that way, you can actually get him up to an LDU. And I think LDU or Dunkley are the two that I like that you probably don't have. I'm really liking those two, but I don't think you can go too wrong with either down to Rosé in one trade or you palm a rookie down and then target your LDU types. But I think if I still owned him DR, I would be trading. There's no doubt about that. I can't cop a 32 on field from that sort of price tag, and even the Loophole as well. I mean, if one of my other loop scores an 80 odd, am I fielding Oliver? Do I have the confidence in him? Do I believe that Oliver can actually score 80 plus? Yeah. And vice versa. What is the threshold? Do I want Oliver to score a 90 plus? It's an awkward. It's kind of like, do you take a 55 from your rookie? Do you take a 119 from your VC? I don't want to be involved. I don't want anything to do with it. If I owned him, I would 100% trade. But that's just me, boys. I'm not really sure at this point what owners want to do. I know DR's a big...
Yeah. It's important to consider it's not recency bias as well. Yes, he put out 32, but nothing was really... He wasn't shooting the lights out apart from that 141 he had. That was the reason that teams brought him in, really. So it's like, I think it's okay to cut your losses because there's some players like Tom Green, poor efficiency. There's a reason why he was always going to bounce back because he just had to fix the efficiency up and the rest of the game was there. Was with Clary, it feels like he's got so many things to fix up before he can get even close to what he was of years gone by.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely cut your losses. I think that's a good way to put it. I think it didn't work. It was a. I used the boost. I used my last boost getting Oliver in, boys. So like, I believed in him at the time, but what I have seen from him, what output I've seen from him, it hasn't been good enough.
He looks a shell.
But I did get rid of him at the right time, and Oliver did get me Jordan Clark. So I think it did me a lot of good. And I think DR, if you got Oliver to LDU, I don't think you'd look back.
You know those times where you don't want it, you're hoping to hear that everything's going to be okay, and it's just not. It's like, damn. All right,
we're just realists, mate. We lost faith in Oliver.
I'll tell you what, because this is the podcast that I've got you covered. I've got you covered with some options, so stay tuned for that.
All right, mate. Well,
that's what he's here for.
Very, very quickly. This is only going to take, I reckon, a minute with the injuries. I don't think there's anything too relevant. One thing just off the top of my head, boys, a couple of my lines, boys. Josh Dunkley, your boy Janath, bit of a glute issue apparently during the week, but has been named, apparently will be named to face
the Scans came up okay.
Good. Okay. It's all good.
I got the scans. They sent scans to me. Yeah.
Oh, you got the scans?
Yeah, they sent the scans. Do you want to get it?
The professor.
Come off it, mate.
Now talk about inside.
Is there anything this man cannot do?
Yeah.
I rang up Lions HQ and asked, "Look, just have a quick look at Josh Dunkley's scans, mate. I just want to make sure that he's right to play, you know."
Who is this bugger off? Janath. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, no worries.
I'm friends with Supercoach with DR.
Yeah.
As long as I got the all clear, boys, should be all good. So,
well, I'm sure that whoever your contact is up there, mate, would have also given you the very, very exciting news that my boy Will Ashcroft is now
actually great to see that
to return. Now, I actually think he's going to return through the AFL. I would not be surprised if he's possibly the sub. So I think that would potentially make sense having Ashley as the sub. Yeah. Really exciting just to make his way in. So I think that's pretty nice. When we go to other things in the medical room, there's really nothing else that's really standing out to me at the moment here. I'm just going through Carlton Collingwood. Well, with Collingwood, they reckon De Goey is a test. Pendles is back. Myer check's back. So I don't know if that will affect someone like a Kruger, for example. I'm not too sure there. Darcy Parish, calf for 3 weeks. So potentially anyone looking at your Jai Caldwell, that may be something just to look out for.
I don't think Parish comes back into the team, DR, to be honest
Really?
with you.
When he's fit?
Who goes out? Who goes out for him? Durham? Stringer?
No, not Durham.
Who-
Like, no
who go-
way. he's
well,
taking
that-
Durham out.
That like Caldwell and Durham and Stringer, they're our mids at the moment, so behind Merritt. I think like one
That's
other.
tough.
But who comes in?
Setterfield went out, I guess, as well. Yeah.
Mate, Durham is all over
Jeez, I didn't
Parish
think
at the
about
moment.
Jeez, that's a really good way to look
Durham
at it.
is the Essendon edge. So yeah,
He is
just
the
real
edge,
quick
I
there,
agree.
boys. I think it's gonna be hard. And Parish he can't play half forward. He can't play half back. I think Sam McClure said something on Sports Day, 3RW about it, and I tend to agree with him
What about
because
Perkins?
he's
Perkins?
the other one, Janath. Yeah, he's the other one. So yeah, real high CBAs for Perkins as well, who's a bit of a like chop out.
I noticed that.
sort of
That went
midfielder,
up with
fourth
him and
midfielder.
Caldwell. Actually, CBAs went up last week when I was doing a bit of research on Caldy there, mate. Very quickly, next one, Salem. Bit of a test for this week. So I was subbed out the week before. I know there are a few Salem owners that may be watching. Toby Pink apparently has a bit of an ankle issue there. Nothing there with, and geez, wasn't Jordan Sweet disappointing? Just not on the injury list there, but wasn't he just extremely disappointing on the weekend? I don't think, boys, to be honest, there's anything else too relevant. Mills, 3 weeks, he's due back. I think that might have been 3 weeks for a little while now. And apart from that, nothing else that I can see here, boys. Anything that you can think of off the top of your head before we move on from the injuries?
Nah, just to reiterate on Will Ashcroft, I reckon that's going to be a welcome return for you boys. I'm just very interested to see how that impacts sort of Jared Berry, Josh Dunkley, Hugh McCluggage. Does he go back on the wing? Because the CJs have to open up somewhere. And just to reiterate, Josh Dunkley was 28 points better off with Ashcroft in the side last year. Lockie Neal was 16 points better off with Will Ashcroft in the side last year. So hopefully with Ashley back, that should sort of help. I don't know what the correlation exactly is there, but it seems that some of these boys play better with the young gun in there.
Beautiful, mate. That is exactly what we want to hear. All right, here we go. The famous rookie data dump. So again, thank you, Roscoe. We'll give you a shout out each week, mate. But for all the work that you do with Janath as part of the Third Man Up, mate, thank you very much. You're an absolute legend, mate. Now, Janath, we've got a few options here in pink, and then we've got a couple of options also in yellow. So we've got your Dowling, Strawn, Kruger, Narkle, Hutchinson, Spilsies, mate, and obviously Sean Maker and Tommy Campbell there. So, mate, is there anything that's really standing out to you at this stage here when it comes to the chart? I know that some of these blokes like Alex Sexton, I'm considering in inverted brackets a premium at the moment, mate. Someone that's, I don't know who's holding on to a Massimo, maybe doing the same. But what stands out to you at the moment, mate, with the rookie data dump?
Yeah, look, I think the big one here is if you're looking for a plain rookie this week, I think it's Dowling or bust. Even with Kruger, I just don't think that.
I agree.
With my check to come back in this week, someone's got to come out from the forward line. I think Kruger is the logical one to make way. Even a Joey Richards, do they go smaller? Like, I can't see Kruger holding long term, and that ruck cover basically comes obsolete because of that. So Billy Dowling, if he's named, look, Adelaide fans, the way they praise him, they'd riot if he gets dropped.
Absolutely.
So if he'll either be the sub or he'll play, I think, and that should be enough.
I don't even think he'll be sub. I think George was saying that he's pretty locked into the starting 22 by now.
That's awesome here. And look, Kieran Strachan, if you're looking for ruck cover, the only issue with going to Strachan is that if he gets dropped, you're stuck with a ruck only that's not playing. And basically, that's the worst kind of cover to have because you can't move him to any other line. You have to trade him out for a ruck, another ruck, and that just doesn't make sense. Sean Maker is a really good pick if you don't have a defense-only D8. So I'm talking about your Zach Reed, Nick Caulfield, those types. So if you've got a Will Dawson there and you've got a spare spot at D8, go ahead. Sean Maker should be good going forward. Just make sure that he's named in the same team as Naz and Jack Sinclair, because Riley Bonner may finally be getting the boot from the Saints faithful there. And I think that's mainly. There's just a couple of names I haven't added here, and that's Clayton Brown, who's on the next slide, and then also Colton Tolstrup. They had his second game of the weekend, elevator price. Same with Nate Caddy. Those kind of players, I don't know. I think Tolstrup's a good player, DR, but it's really hard to justify going up and paying top dollar for those kinds of rookies, because you can save up that money. And for instance, you don't need to go Rose if you don't want to. You can elevate yourself up into that 500K mark and go shopping in that sort of region, if you get where I'm going there.
Yep.
And sorry for the blurriness, but this is just something we put together last week for the 102.4K loop options, looking at the loophole fixture. And this was one of the major reasons why I went Lock Rawlinson over Clayton Brown. It's just looking at the more greens and more greens as opposed to Clayton Brown playing a couple more earlier games. If we look at a good fixture, I think West Coast has the best looping fixture. North Melbourne's one I'm a bit worried about, because if you see that they play Saturday 1:45, six of the last 9 games at least, and that really only affords you the opportunity to look at a Friday VCC or Friday looping player there. So try to avoid North Melbourne in that case purposely.
Yeah,
and even with Essendon. Yes, there's a couple of Sunday games. Yes, there's a couple of Saturday night games, but 3 Friday night games, the first game of the round, not ideal. But the tough part is that Saad El Hawi is the only defensive mid 102.4K option that we have. So you almost have to go him. And I went in for that exact reason there. So look, St Kilda's not too bad. 4 Sunday night games and no games earlier than 1:45. So no Friday night games. So I think that's not a bad option with Max Hall. Possibly could get a game later this season. So again, I think if I was ranking them in order, I'd probably go Rawlinson, Hall, we'll say Clayton Brown, Geordie Payne, and then Rowlands probably fits in there somewhere as well. But not too keen, because they also play a couple of Saturday early games and also a Friday game as well.
I feel like with Al Hawley, you're not really picking him to loop scores. You're picking him for DPP
for the position. Totally.
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad move to run, like, with, let's say, a completed side. I reckon the perfect bench at the moment in terms of structure would be Dowling, and then Saad Al Hawley, and then maybe a Rawlinson. So the Rawlinson, you get that scoring loophole because he's a West Coast playing the late games, and then Saad comes in for your defensive carnage. You've got that link that sorts you out, and then you've got the good cover on your bench for Dowling.
So Spilsy, so you're saying something like what I had before with what the Rosie took, and then Saad and Rawlinson.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. I think you don't need the cash. Like, why do you need the cash anymore? Exactly your side's complete, so you may as well look after your structure, and then like whatever carnage hits, like you're going to be prepared for it. I don't have
that's right.
Like my team's in the exact same situation, but I don't need like Al Harley because I've got Dacos in the midfield. But if I didn't, I would 100% be going Saad just for that link. Just it can get you out of a lot of trouble, particularly when like carnage does hit. It's bloody valuable. That defensive mid DPP. Awesome. But yeah,
and for those that don't happen to have Will Dawson, Campbell Gray looks perfect with that loophole.
Oh yeah,
5 greens, no games before 145. The only 145 game, 145 game. So if you need one of a defensive forward to loop with Sexton Fisher types, he's perfect there.
Yep,
that's
awesome.
it.
I lead analysis, and I tell you what, there's probably going to be too many 102K loop players on my bench by the end of the season, for my liking anyway. But I'll tell you what, let's
go on. Here's bloody more stuff there. I can't keep up.
Well, we're going to keep with the same theme here. Again, we've got some elite work, and we're actually now looking at the loop options. So we're talking about the loopholes before, the cheap players that won't be looking to play, that we can move around. But these are the type of blokes that you may be looking to get into your side to allow yourself to loop with the other players. So, look, the man up the top, Connor Ozee. I'm going to read straight from the stream here. Lots has gone wrong this season for Ozee. A hammy and an injury plus playing forward. Has returned post-buy, though, with a 75 and a 115. time to roll the dice. Now, it's history here, it's potential, and it's the fact that, look, he's the captain of the club. Janath already mentioned this before, but with the way that Port are going, you look for your leaders to step up, and good leaders do step up. And we see that with Max Gawn a lot of the time after a bad loss. We know the data, he really hits back with a big game normally. So we're expecting the same from Rosie here, and has lost a lot of coin off his starting price. It must be over 150K from the top of my head. So I think he is a fantastic option, but keep in mind, obviously is a midfielder only. Tom Green was averaging 120 after 7 rounds. Yes, believe me, I remember that. And looked like a top 8, like his disposal efficiency and scoring, though, have been down. Hit back with 153 last round and a perfect M9. And I think a big reason why is a perfect M9 is because of that ceiling. It seems like he'll give you a dud like your 70 to 80, or else he'll give you one of those big monsters. And they're the type of players that you don't mind actually looping, because it's very easy not to take the 70, very, very easy to take that 130 plus type score. So certainly another option that we've got there up our sleeves, Tommy Green. The man that Spills is potentially looking to bring in this week, and the man that last week before this game I said could be a potential trap. So may have some egg on my face with this one here, but it's Jai Simpkin playing inside mid at the revitalised Roos with a 125 and 114 either side of the buy, 400K with negative break even. The big question here is, can Simpkin keep this mini run going until the end of the year? One thing that put me off was looking at his scores from this year and even into last year. I think he turned up 4 times maybe, and there was nothing that was really saying, pick me, pick me. Now, we know that he's been having his injury troubles for a little while now, but potentially this year, and is that the reason potentially why he hasn't been scoring so well? From memory, his CBAs have never been too high, particularly this year anyway. But I think at the price, we've seen it for 2 weeks now, he looks pretty nice. I was worried the week before that it was that last goal in particular that gave him some really nice scaling, and I didn't think kicking 2 goals in crunch time was going to be something he'd be able to maintain. But I think after last week, actually passed the eye test for me, so not too bad here. I'll quickly go through them, boys, and then you can add anything that you want. Jai Caldwell, so the man that I'm taking a very, very close look at this week. A nice role-playing midfield for the Bombers. 115 last round, always has that DPP status and a high floor. And this is one of the things that I was looking at. One scoring to 80 since round 2. He's not the type of bloke that we're going to get a big ceiling game from, but I think he's going to be a very safe option. Last week, along with Perkins, I think you mentioned this before, Spills, his CBA has actually spiked right up again. We know that Setterfield was dropped. Parrish potentially back, but Spilsy reckons it may be tough for him to even make his way back into the side. So there are a couple of slight red flags here, but I really do like his consistency there. You got Jaden Short. I haven't been a huge fan of Short this year, but a 99.7 average in his last 3 taking kick-ins. We all know that's some bonus there. They have a good DVP run for designated kickers. Freo, St Kilda, Collingwood to come on the run home. So something you could be looking at there if you're looking at a defender. And the last defensive option here is, well, I'm almost going to call him Supercoach royalty. I think we probably owe Tom Stewart that respect, what he's done in the back line.
Definitely.
The riskiest of the bunch. But we know his ceiling. 107 last round, but recent scoring has not been inspiring. It seems like Max Holmes is a bloke you want if you're getting a defender from the Cats, but he could also be a decent loop. So I'll pretty much say straight off, just to, I suppose, sum this up, I'm not a fan of Stewart or Short, to be quite frank. I'd rather just have your Dawson so you can get a Fisher down there and probably get an extra forward, to be quite honest. Caldwell, I do like. I'm a fan of Caldwell. He's not that bloke that's going to win your league matches, but you won't lose your league matches if you're more of a
that's the best way to
league
look at it.
player. Jai Simpkin, I still don't know how I feel about him. I think value for potential is certainly there, though, with that DPP. We know that North have a pretty decent run. We've talked about the run that LDU had when we were deciding about who to get in that week. Tom Green, I still haven't got full faith in, but for me, he's pretty much the perfect loop. As I mentioned before, we give you crap or give you something really nice, so it's an easy decision either way. And Connor Rozee, captain of the club, I think with his value this week, he would easily be my number 1. I just wish that he'd have that that at a DPP status.
yeah.
If it was
Yeah.
DPP, this would be the
Easiest
easiest
pick.
trading I would have made
Smashed it.
in years
Yep.
of playing the
Mm.
game, to be quite honest.
Yep.
It'd be that easy. It's just without that DPP, you need to have, it's team dependent, I think, a lot of the time. So my thoughts there, Spilsy,
So
what do you reckon, mate? What are you going to give us? Any of the players, go for your life, mate.
here's what I reckon we should do, boys. I think would we be happy to sort of, unless you own them, sort of rule Short and Stewart out, like they're sort of so
defense only is the hard part because it's really hard to get a defender into mid or forward sort of thing.
It's too competitive. Yeah. It's too competitive, that line, and I think everyone has Tom Green. I mean,
that's a great point.
9 out of 10. So let's talk about who we're bringing in this week. So Dale, you talk about Caldwell. Janath, you can allude on Rosie, and I'll quickly touch on Simpkin. So Simpkin is someone I don't have a lot of faith in at all. I'll just make that really clear. But the 2 spike games are going to help me get.
That's a great sales field.
Yeah, I'm just sort of speaking how I feel, boys. Like I think a lot of like red time scoring, like that clutch goal against West Coast, that boosted him up. Like he's probably only on a ton at that point. But what I will say, real positive about the pick, is since North have been competitive, so is he. And I think he's almost, we talk about how good Wardlaw and Sheasel have been, LDU. There's been some real positives from North, Larky. But the skipper, Simpkin, I think he has sort of stepped up as a nice little captain. He's brought them back into it. They're still getting beaten, but they're being competitive. So if they can keep up that sort of competitiveness, I think the scoring is sustainable. I don't think he's got the ceiling that we've seen the last couple of weeks. But if you're looking for a real quick cash grab, like if you're someone like me who has bad rookie cover, but you want a Rankin and you can't afford it, I think Simpkin's perfect for a good 2 to 4 weeks. Just that, I think that'll get me there. That's the method behind the madness, boys. I think he's a good pick short term, but as a keeper, not liking it. But maybe you can get away with that F7. I don't hate it.
No, fair enough.
Very quickly with Caldwell, I'll just read you out. All right, so let's just go from. All right, let's just go from round 5. Let's just say here. So we go on 83, 129, 100, 58 against West Coast, but that was injury affected that game. A 90, a 103, an 80, 88, 94, and 115. So it's just consistency with a nice roll. That's CBA's good. Up last week. Maybe you could argue, well, that's why he hasn't gone too many 100 pluses, because the CBA rate hasn't been fantastic. It's been solid without being wonderful. But comes up against Geelong's midfield this week, then playing Collingwood, a depleted Melbourne, Adelaide, the Saints. But then we go Freo, Gold Coast, Sydney, and Brisbane for the Supercoach finals. And it's probably not the best Supercoach finals run that you've got there. But again, it's just consistency. I think he's probably going to be, if I look at this list, he'll give you the shortest range or the most consistent range of scoring. That's what I'll say.
Agree.
Mm-hmm. Janath.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess with Rosie, it's I'm going with that sort of the captaincy, but also the fact that he was 600k plus at the start of the season. Like crazy. Stewart was, Green was, but Simpkin and Caldwell's been a breakout. Simpkin's sort of been in and about that sort of fantasy relevant, like Supercoach relevance, but at the same time, he really hasn't. If Simpkin was a mid only, I wouldn't be considering him. Like, we wouldn't be considering him at all.
No way.
Because that's forward.
No
but
way.
The fact is that we're considering Rosie as a midfield, I think says a lot about how confident we feel about Rosie, is one way to look at it. But then again, it comes to the fact is how important is that DPP? Because for instance, for me, I think Rosie is good, especially if Fraser and Dowling hold, because worst comes to worst, Fraser and Dowling are there as sort of cover. Whereas a team that needs the forward cover as well as the midfield cover, I would be happy to go with Caldwell, I think, above Simpkin. That's how I'd rank them. I'd go Rosie, Caldwell, Simpkin. But if you're looking specifically for mid-forward, I'd go Caldwell over Simpkin, because Caldwell's shown that consistency, whereas Simpkin, like, look, what's to say that you're in Supercoach finals and Jai Simpkin has hamstring awareness like he did before the Collingwood game? It ruins your season. You've done all that hard work getting to a point, And it's not like it happened at the start of the season. This was 2 weeks ago. Yes, he had a good score against Melbourne, but like that's a real concern. And yes, not to say that Rosie's injury-free, because we saw what happened with him. And in a way, Caldwell is the most injury-free, which is ironic because the problem with Caldwell over these years is that he's been injury-prone. Yeah, so you're not picking an injury-proof player. If you're looking for the mid-forward, Caldwell over Simpkin. If you're looking for the best of the bunch, value considered, past performance considered, I think it's really hard to look past Connor Rosie.
Fair. Very fair.
It's team dependent, boys. It's very team dependent. I think I would definitely rank Rosie and Caldwell ahead of Simpkin, like 100%. But it's very team dependent. I'm using a little bit of a trick with Simpkin. It's a short cash grab to get me who I really want, and that is F4 Isaac. So that's Isaac Rankin, obviously.
Oh, I was going to say Heaney.
So I'll be in quickly and go, hang on, there's 2 bloody Isaacs in that top 4. So Simpkin, I'm not confident at all. But short term, I think he can make the money I need to get me who I want. So it's good for my team, but I do not advise it because other than that, I don't really like the pick. But -16 break even at 400k, it's pretty hard to go past, especially in my rookies.
Would you say Curnow above Caldwell and Simpkin? Well, where would Curnow rank in this bunch?
Oh. That's my decision. Curnow versus Caldwell this week. That's what I've been flicking between exactly those two, man.
I'll give you the run, DR. So it's Richmond, probably Ben Miller, GWS, no Sam Taylor, unfortunately. That was one of the big ones, I guess, we didn't talk about with the ruptured testicle. So all our thoughts would go out to him. Bulldogs, so probably Liam Jones, Alex Keith, maybe if he's injury-free. North Melbourne, we know how he's towed them up in the past. Port Adelaide, we've seen that defence. Collingwood, Darcy Moore. Hawthorn, possibly Sam Frost, James Sicily. Last year, I know he got Josh Weddle at some points, which was a bit ludicrous. Yeah. West Coast, Barassa, McGovern, and St Kilda, probably Wilkie. So it's in terms of the actual fixture matchup for Curnow with Harry Mackay playing in this form. We even saw something that I alluded to last week with Curnow going back and stemming the flow, taking an intercept mark in defence, and really elevating that score when
he's good.
Realistically, 5 goals, 118 is a really good score. And I look back and I'm like, if I trade in the 118, you'd be really happy. You'd be really happy. So I think Curnow.
I would put Curnow. I think I would too. I would too. And I really want Curnow this week. But I don't. I think Curnow is probably, if I'm picking him for the rest of the year. I probably want him all season. Yeah. And it makes it a bit awkward. Like, is he going to get up to enough for Rankin? Do I want to trade out Curnow for Rankin if he's got a good run? So that's the only reason. I love the Curnow pick. Absolutely love him. I think Simpkin's probably the one because he's going to make the money. Yeah. And
you're looking at it from a different perspective still. So that's the thing is like I think that's really important because for DR, for instance, you're looking for your F6 sort of thing.
And everyone else too watching.
It's almost interesting, that as an F6 I'd almost prefer Caldwell, but as an F7, F6 where you can get that spike score, Curnow, and sort of protect against
100%
floor score, Curnow's the best pick there because he's got a mix of both. And even this year, if you look at it, he's gone below 70 once. So, I mean, 70, you'd take 70 from a forward on a bad
That's consistent, right? Isn't it? That's very consistent.
But, like I said, he's kicked 2 goals in every game this year. He hadn't kicked 5 until this week. And that was something I was telling you, DR, last week, is that he hasn't had those bags.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
the bags are coming.
Freakish. Yeah.
The bags are coming. Like, it's Charlie Curnow we're talking about.
It's ridiculous how good
he's the David King lead. He's the Joey Montana of the podcast.
No.
The David King.
That's all good.
We may actually lose him next year. People would be surprised to just see the 2 of us bums. And where's Janath? Well, Fox Footy's recruited old
Janath just signed a contract with Fox Footy. Special guest on First
signing
Crack.
Any contract.
Yeah.
This is the contract.
Swordplay, boys.
Stick together as brothers. Ohana means family.
Oh, come on!
No,
if you got
on a
offered
serious
if you
note.
got offered a job at first crack, you'd take it. You'd be leaving us out to dry. 100%.
Is that the one? The low budget looking sort of yeah. I think I got the tune.
I don't know, but it's on at like 9:30 on a Sunday night.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
those that
we're
really can't
rambling
get enough
now,
footy.
boys.
All right,
Let's lock
we
it
are.
in here. Caldwell,
All right, boys.
Kerno. I'm leaning Kerno for your team, D. I think he's a real ceiling raiser for you, mate.
Yep.
I
Do you know
agree.
what? After
I'm
this
going Kerno.
chat, I'm almost leaning there. I just reckon he's got a little bit more upside, maybe.
That's what I mean. He's not going to lose your matchups. Caldwell won't lose your matchups, but Kerno can win your matchups. And you, like, for instance, imagine you're in a league semi-final or preliminary final, I don't know what it is, and you've got Charlie Kerno against West Coast at Optus Stadium. They've shelved Tom Barras like they did last year, put the Q in the rack, and Charlie Kerno kicked
Yeah, do you know what? It's probably worth getting in just for that painful matchup. Like, just prepare myself.
That's
like
a couch watch. That's behind the couch watch right there.
Big time. All right. Well, yeah, Kerno, then it's Caldwell for me. If you're looking at your forwards, but
team specific. Really team specific.
Very team. Very, very team specific. Like if it wasn't my team in consideration, I'm going Kerno 100%. But for my team, Simpkin, because it gets me ranking.
Yep.
But everyone else,
Love
Kerno. Can't go wrong with him. He's a jet.
All right, now, boys, very, very quickly before we get to our mailbag, we have gone on and on. I reckon we've gone for as long as
this is unbelievable.
Going for.
It's a lecture.
So let's get to this now. Screenshot this. Make sure you do something with it because it's the best of the best. So Janath's got here for us, the great man, basically a run home for all of the, let's say the main players for each side. So we're going to start off, mate, with the inside mids. You can see Adelaide to Freo there. So we got Rankin, Laird, Dawson. Not a fan at all. Dunkley and Neil, an amazing run. Like to hear that with Lockie. Sam Walsh, Patrick Whips, Patrick Whips.
What?
Oh, jeepers.
Say that again.
I don't know. Like your gargle.
Brownlow medalist Patrick
Scott spills his gargle pre-podcast.
We don't need to speak about that. That was off air. So
you don't know what that was. Nick Dacos, good next few then hard. Zach Merton, Caldwell, hard last week. Okay, otherwise. Hayden Young, Caleb Strong, decent enough. Janath, anything you want to add on here, mate?
Just very quickly, the locks indicate a possible or probable potential tag. So I'm just going to whip off some of the names we see across the league. So Jared Berry at Brisbane, Windhager at St Kilda, Phillips at North, Bedford at GWS, Chincotta at Carlton. They're the big sort of week-to-week taggers. And then you, to a lesser degree, or sort of unproven taggers, James Jordan, Sydney. I say he's proven, but we don't know if he's going to tag an inside mid or a running defender. Depends on the week. Max Michelini, we saw the job he did on Chad Bourne. Is that going to be something going forward? At Adelaide, only 1 game sample size. And Neil Bullen against Melbourne, we saw what he did to Dacos. And just very interestingly, not so much as a trade-in target, but if you have a look at round 22 Sydney, round 23 Brisbane, round 24 Melbourne for Collingwood, is there a possible switch off Nick Dacos at round 22? So it's something to just keep in mind. Maybe if you've got a couple of extra trades, would be one of the biggest pod moves ahead of Supercoach finals. But
massive.
You never know. And even go back a week further than that, Carlton, Alex Chincotta. So he could have 4 tags in a row. So there's a lack of locks on Carlton. That was just an oversight on my end. But possibly 4 straight tags in for Nick Dacos come 10th season.
Very interesting.
If we want to go to the next slide, I think this is where some of the trading candidates sort of step up. So we look, Gold Coast, absolutely not the worst. I think they have a pretty healthy schedule actually, and this includes is it 5 games at People First Stadium, and we'll talk about in Captain's Corner, but Noah Anderson's last 3 games.
3. It's like 2 or 3. It's not much at all.
His last 3 games on the Gold Coast he must like the water parks, because I tell you what, 150, 151, 155. His last three. So he's a home track bully, let's call it.
The Noah Coaster.
But if we go straight down, obviously, look, Tom Green, those last 4 weeks, even if it's tag free, not looking promising on DVP, so defense first position, 4 red matchups. Clayton Oliver, West Coast and Essendon next 2 weeks, but that's after the Jared Berry. But then again, it's not like it's mint run home after that. What I'm really excited for, though, is that North fixture. So the Bulldogs' tough matchup. Someone will probably cop the Sydney James Jordan tag. But apart from that, you've got Gold Coast in there, which is that Marvel. You've got Geelong in there, Richmond, West Coast. Geelong, Richmond, West Coast, and Hawthorn in the last week. Really nice. And I think that's where I'd be looking if you're like yourself, DR. If you're looking for that sort of midfielder. I'm sorry, we're just going through this in a turbo way. Obviously, we're not really looking at the Richmond sort of things. Jack Steele, not the worst picture. Possibly cop the Jared Berry tag again in round 21, which is annoying. Sydney does not have a great run. So we look at St Kilda, someone's getting the Windhager tag. North, someone's getting the Phillips tag. Brisbane, someone's getting the Berry tag. And I say someone because it's super unpredictable who's going to get it. And in round 24, Michelini is going to get the Chad Warner tag. Yeah. And if we think about the tags, gee whiz, the Bulldogs, is it going to be Bont? If he goes forward, then it's going to be Treloar. If Treloar gets doesn't get off the chain, it's going to be Dale, because he got North twice, Sydney, Adelaide, GWS, all have tagged. So I think it's very risky, and I feel a bit of trepidation be seen captaining Bontempelli. It's risky.
Bont and Dacos. So the last 3 weeks, three odd weeks,
isn't it?
The two big boys. So obviously, two of the most popular options may not be as great as what people would be expecting. That's why it's a great analysis, mate. Fantastic analysis. So that's obviously the inside mix.
I noticed Green's
the key forwards.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Spilsy. Going very quickly, mate.
Yeah, really quick. Yeah. I noticed Green had 4 reds in a row right at the end of the year. So finals.
Yeah.
Would you suggest banking 1 trade, and if you get through it, no carnage, would you trade Green just before finals to someone a little bit more secure? Let's assume that Green obviously has got a big scoring system, hits form. Let's say he gets to about 570K. Are you jumping off at that point for someone else for Supercoach finals?
It's really hard, because if it gets to the point, if you have 2 luxury trades, you trade Dacos or Green. I reckon we cross that bridge when we get there. But I would prefer the red matchups over 4 tags. Like, just hands down, I'd rather Green get to 100 than Dacos score 60 because he's getting tagged every week.
Yeah, sure.
Like that sort of thing. So we'll see how we go. Very quickly, key forwards, Charlie Kerner, Harry Mackay. The run looks amazing, DR. This is sort of what I wanted to bring up to you before. Only 1 red matchup in there. Again, with some of your boys, no red matchups, but not the amount of green as Carlton. And then, every other team, key forward has at least 1 red matchup. Jessica Cameron's an okay one, but with Tom Hawkins out for 6 to 8 weeks, he probably plays stay-at-home forward. I don't really like it. Luke Jackson, again, not the worst run for key forward. And so that's that's a good thing for you boys holding on to him, because he'd be a perfect F7 to loop for like the West Coast or Geelong matchup where he could go big like we saw with Kerno on the weekend. And just the last one here is just the Brucks. So, look, Tim English, probably a tough run, 4 bad matchups at the moment. This is all based off the current data, which we have. In terms of who has the best matchup, Max Gawn, great run coming up. Brodie Grundy, after round 20 onwards, English, possibly Sweet Soldo, Cameron, Draper, and then Strachan. If that's his run, oh my goodness, that's going to be the worst antipod of quite possibly all time. And Rowan Marshall again, Geelong and Carlton back-to-back, finish it off. And my boy, Tom DeConning, you never know. In the way that he's playing, I don't think matchup really bothers him, to be fair.
He's a
No.
freak.
Towels up
Probably
whoever he plays,
almost
really.
lock him in next year. He's that good. He's gonna be that good.
He's playing like the son of Max
Arthur.
Gawn and Dean Cox at the moment, isn't he? Really,
Oh,
it's
jeez. There was something
generational. I
interesting.
reckon generational.
He's
I say
so good.
generational.
20
He's
mil?
a freak.
Open check?
20 worth every cent, mate. Worth absolutely every cent.
Shout out to Robbie Williams. Went early on him, so kudos to him.
Yeah.
Went early on. to
He's
Coach.
such a star,
And-
Robbie.
and
He's
He
repping
did,
Carlton
didn't
Footy
he?
in the
went
streets
early
of
on him,
London.
and he
Yeah.
he's that good. He's
He
that good.
You know he's a global
Absolutely did.
ambassador? Did you know that?
No,
He's a global
What's
ambassador.
that?
He wears Carlton on the streets of London. Does Robbie
I
Williams?
saw that.
Sick.
I saw that
Yeah.
on TikTok earlier.
Yeah.
The Guernsey,
He's-
12 on the back
he's
of it.
such a star.
He's
Love
a
him.
piss-
He actually-
he's a piss
I've
of
actually
fun.
seen him in a Brisbane Lions jumper. I reckon he was first to wear a Brisbane Lions jumper before Carlton because Lisa loves him, like loves Robbie
Does she
Williams.
still?
I think, loves him, and was so excited to see him in a Brisbane Lions. Like he's a Brisbane Lions supporter. And then this Carlton stuff actually rocked her a little bit, let me tell you. All right,
Oh.
boys, into the mailbag. Now, we tried something last week, and that was the timer. Now, basically with the mailbag, what's been happening is we've been going on and on and on.
It gets
But we
hectic.
want to answer each and every one of your questions. We hate when we don't get to particular questions. So we're going to try to, from now on, turbo through the mailbag. We've tried to cover as many topics as we can leading up to mailbag, like your different loop options. So for the questions like that, if it's between the Simp and Kerno type stuff, we've pretty much answered that sort of stuff. We've discussed all the best loop options as well, who's got the best run home. So hopefully we've covered a fair bit of this, boys, but we will get into this mailbag. I'll just get my screen up here and share the old X. As always, guys, thank you very much to anyone that has left a question there. Fair few notifications already. So, boys, first one we've got is from JRules3434, putting Fisher down, back and Martin in defence. Who should I get to finish up the mid? Neil, Dunkley, or Yo for the DPP swing? Or someone else? Mate, we'll heart this one and get back because it's team dependent, buddy. Andrew Ratek, how are you, mate? Green's 153 has me rethinking my future planning. Should I trade Green to Yo via Dacos or Rankin via Zorko, or trade out Sexton for Rankin? Keep Green and stick with my original six
Sexton
defenders.
to Rankin. Sexton to Rankin.
Sexton to Rankin?
It's simple.
Yep, that one.
All right.
100%.
Keep
All
Green.
Green then.
There's no
Nice
reason
easy.
to trade out Green.
So way.
Beautiful.
He's back.
He's
Green
back.
Machine, he's back. Let's go.
Against Sydney.
So
Tough
well.
matchup.
Yeah, true,
Nah,
true as
yeah.
well. Yeah, Battle of the Bridge, wasn't it? Brody Dunn. G'day, bro. It's away, mate. Hey, guys, do my final upgrades this week and rank 2503. Well done, mate. Want to crack inside the top 1500. Option 1, Oliver and Sexton to Rosie and Rankin.
Love it.
Like that.
Ooh.
Option 2,
Yes.
I'll go cheaper
I love
instead
it.
of Rankin like Cordwell or Simpkin and get Dunkley. I actually like
I like
the first one.
That's tough.
the first one, I think.
I like
Oliver
option.
and
I'm going
Sexton.
option one. That's you can't go wrong. That's a good trade.
The only thing, and even as a Rankin trade in, Adelaide probably have 3 tags coming up. GWS Bedford, Brisbane Berry, St Kilda Windhager. I'm just a bit wary as to where those tags go. Is it to Dawson? Is it to Rankin? Rankin can at least go forward, but does that bring him closer to a Caldwell type than we would hope? And that's where I sort of feel like Dunkley out-averages Rosie from here on out. So it's not as simple as one for me, but I think just one. But yeah, just feel how confident you are with Rankin and the upcoming tags Adelaide.
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. All right. Next one is from one of our favorites, the Angry Chihuahua. How are you, mate? Hey, legends. Thanks for your help to navigate the buy rounds. No problems at all, mate. For this week, what's the best approach? 1, complete team, getting primo like Zorko or Rankin. 2, bring in Rosie, who's cheap, and push out, completing forward line. Also, would you trade out Jackson for someone else in the forward line? I wouldn't trade out Jackson, mate, personally. I think he's your insurance policy.
I'll answer this because I'm in the same situation, exactly the same.
All right, Spilsy.
Option 1, mate. Complete your team first because you don't want 9 mids and then down in F6. You don't want that. And that's what's stopping me from getting Rose this week. And I want him, I really do, but it's just not logical. Complete.
Who would you bring in, Spills? Rosie or Rankin? Zorko Rankin, sorry, not Rosie. Zorko Rankin. That's what it's
Zorko, 100%. Zorko, easily.
And BC chuck the big V. We're going to talk about it. Big VC on Dane Zorko coming up on Friday night.
Yeah. Really?
Interesting.
All
All right,
we'll
get to that.
Later. Look forward to it.
Thanks, buddy. All right, here's the ladies' man calls the black lead. Shay calls up. What is the best rookie downgrade for Jai Clark, and how do I fix Dowling on field in forward line? I think I stuffed it getting Hutchinson when Brown was sub. I think I should have held on to Brown.
Yeah, you don't. I've done a similar thing there, mate. You can't do anything about it. I'm in the same with Hutchinson and Jones. I'm stuck to. It is what it is.
I think it's worse for Causa because he's got Kruger, Livingston, Hutchinson, and Lowry for 3 bench spots. So he's got to trade out Kruger probably.
But looks like he's got a few trades there. So he probably just correct one of those to something a bit of DPP.
One of those trades. Yeah. You got to boost as well. Causa.
That's where they come in handy.
Yeah.
Cut your losses, mate.
Yeah. Unfortunate Causa. Bad luck, mate. But yeah, you probably have to burn one to fix it up, buddy. All the best, mate. Our next one is from a Logan Jennings. Hey, mate. Hey, lads. Lucky enough to get the TDK in this weekend. Well done. And
so
chuck
good.
the VC on him. Well done, mate.
Man.
Saved him from a drop in the ranks. 880. Just a quick one. Is Rosie a viable M8? Wondering if it's worth going Rao to Rosie to fund cash to afford Rankin.
I thought about it. I was really close.
I
thought about it. Yeah. Go for Kerno. Because I was in the same situation. I got Rao as well. And it was that tempting going Rao down to Rosie. Like, it's easy to do. But Rao, I don't know what it is. My gut tells me he's coming good. Rao's going to come good. He's going to come. It gets easier. And he will come good. Don't trade Rao. You'll be regretting it.
I agree. I wouldn't be trading Rao either.
I have a feeling that Kerno and Rankin isn't going to be as big of a difference in these next 3 weeks as we think it's going to be. So hold Rao and get Kerno if that's what it is. Yeah.
All right. Here's our man H. How are you, legend? Hey, lads. Hope you're doing well. Kerno or Caldwell this week?
We just had a full discussion with
Freya and bring in a Sinclair to finish off defence. Janath, might go to you for this one, mate, because you mentioned that you wouldn't mind having Sinclair in your side.
Yeah.
What advice you got for H here, mate?
Yeah, Kerno first up.
Yep.
Don't mess around with loops at this stage of the season. You want full primo on your field. Sinclair, I really like Sinclair. My only concern is that they got Port this week, and we saw that Jed McEntee unsuccessfully tagged Dane Zorko to a 110 on the weekend, or 104, and also then he's got James Jordan next week, who I think is he's a really good tagger. So I think, after those two matchups, Sinclair's run really opens up for designated kickers and playing. I think they play all their games in Marvel from then on in, until the final round before they play your boys DR. I think, or something along those lines. I think Sinclair's a really good shout. A great pod for the run home.
Beautiful. I don't mind Sinclair's run home, particularly that Marvel run. And we know he's got a decent ceiling on him as well. So all the best, H. We'll actually have a chat during the week, mate. Next one's from Danny. Dan Pennon, how are you, legend, on our community? Oh, no, Dan Perry. Sorry, that was Dan Pennon. Dan Perry. G'day, Dan. Hey, lads, stuck on last upgrade. Got 610K to spend in the midfield or defence. Not sure whether to go a proven scorer or go a pod. Do I go Neil or Merritt or a pod like Chris, Sinclair, Taranto? Unless you guys can select anyone else. Mbop Classic T. The Mbop for anyone that didn't watch my round review. When I found out, boys, I was halfway home from the supermarket. My phone went off, so I pulled off to the side of the road responsibly to check the phone. Noticed that I'd finally got inside the top 1K and went from SEN and put a bit of Mbop on, bit of Hanson Mbop just to celebrate that for 2.5 minutes on the way home. So that was that little reference there about the Mbop. Boys, so
you would do that too.
Oh, I shouldn't have.
You would do that.
I'm not too sure. Mate. But boys, I'm just going to straight say here, I don't think you need to go a pod in particular. I reckon you go whoever you think's going to score the most from here until the end of the season. So look, I think it's very hard to go
Neil and Merritt.
Neil or Merritt.
Money.
Yeah.
One of the two, you can't go wrong. They're both pretty equal, really.
We looked at Neil's run as well, and it was there's a fair bit of green there as well. Other thing that
Yeah.
Janath also alluded to before, mate, when Will Ashcroft is in the side, whether or not history repeats or not, Neil's average actually goes up to the green there. So,
Nice.
I wouldn't mind having my man Lockie Neal. I don't think they're all Zach Merritt, mate. Pretty easy picks there. All the best, Danny. Next one is from Steph. Hey, legends, love your work. Thanks, man. Thinking of trading JHF to Rosie, that would bring me to 4 trades, 150k. Also thinking the Breville to Simpkin. He would be my 23rd swingman. Only 3 trades and a 23rd swingman from here on in. Love your thoughts.
I think that's fine.
Rosie.
JHF.
I don't mind.
Rosie, though, that feels so sideways at this point in the season.
It is a bit, yeah.
Because the Hornet, yeah. I was thinking, I don't mind Revel to Simpkin. I think that's great. That's a really good trade.
Yeah.
I would honestly be comfortable with just that because, look, Horn Francis has the same exact fixture as Rosie. I don't think the trade's going to be worth in the long run if they both stay injury-free.
He's making 100k here.
That is true. But what is that? Does he need that to get Simpkin? Is that what it's saying?
Well, that would leave him 4
4
trades and 150k. And then it would then be Revel to Simpkin. So I assume without that, he's not able to do the Revel to Simpkin.
Tough one. That's a really tough one.
Yeah. Well, that's how I think about this. This is a tough one.
Well, look,
because if it takes you down to 3, I probably wouldn't. If it takes you down to 3 trades and you're sidewaysing to get a 23rd, those on-field points, I'd rather just get Hornet up if you can.
And have your 3 trades.
Probably
have 4 trades. Have 4 trades,
Yeah. Hard to agree with that, mate.
I'll go defensive and I'll just agree with Janath here because, why not? That's a pretty good point.
You're disagreeing. Fair enough, mate. Good to have some disagreement from time to time, mate. Next one is from Clayton. Not happy with you, Clayton 23. With your boy. How are you, mate? Dear, I'm a Clary. Of course you are, mate. Like yourself. Are you going to be holding him or well, look, we've really talked about that, mate. I've got 3 trades left post full team, including Clary. Well, look, with 3 trades left, it depends. Like, I wouldn't go down to 1 to upgrade him. If you've got enough money to get him right up to an LDU and you've still got a Dowling and some other decent cover, then yes, I would, mate. All right. Next one is from one of our favorites here. Hopefully, maybe speaking to this great man and in a couple of weeks, we'll keep you posted about that. The great Cater, hey, gents. Just wondering if you think picking a 23rd keeper is more important to pick for team flexibility over picking the best possible player as your 22nd keeper. We absolutely covered that, didn't we? When we were talking about the Clary discussion. So, Janath, you were saying that you'd much rather upgrade, say, a Clary to an LDU or an Errol type, mate, rather than going that 23rd?
If you have the trades. If you don't have the trades, I don't mind a play with flexibility on your bench.
Beautiful, mate. All the best luck, Cutter. Cheers, legend. Next is from Silvertop Early. Hey, mate. A, full team and 4 trades left with 180k in the bank and wait for injuries or luxuries, or go to 3 trades with Rosie or Simpkin at M9. If it was 5 versus 4 trades, I'd definitely do B, but I'm not sure with 4 versus 3. Look,
really
Janath, I wouldn't actually mind, and I'll give you a bit of the method to the madness, going to 3 trades with just say Rosie or Simpkin, because just say if you've got your 4 trades, and let's just say that it's a Bont that goes down, a Zach Butters that goes down, a Sarong that goes down for 1 to 2 weeks, you really don't want to trade them, do you? You'd much rather just be able to get someone just to fill in for a couple of weeks because you obviously want to trade them back in. So if you've got 4 trades, you trade them out, and then you want to just say, for example, trade them back in. For someone like a Bont, you wouldn't not want to have a Bont. I just think it's almost easier being 1 less and having that guy to come on straight away and someone as reliable, someone like a Rosie. Would you feel any differently about that, mate?
No, I agree with you there, mate. I think The only concern that I have with that, if it's a longer term injury, not being able to pick your replacement, and then also I guess at the end of the season, I guess a lot of teams were really lucky last year with like Tex Walker playing West Coast, an easy trade-in option really. So something along those lines, I think is something that I reckon is a possible opportunity for points, and that's where that extra trade comes into play. Look, Rosie is good enough cover. I wouldn't mind going down 3 trades because you can also avoid that sort of tag carnage, which is just bound to happen to some of our primos, mate.
Yep, absolutely, mate. All right, I'll tell you what, we need to get in turbo mode here. How about, boys, just some really quick yes/no type stuff here because my recording time's actually going as well. All right, next one is from our man Jules, and again, sneak peek, maybe chatting with Jules hopefully soon as well. Help, 5 M8, 4 trades left. Should I do nothing? Swap to Simpkin in 1 trade or upgrade to a primo using 2 trades? Thinking Day or Sarong or Sinclair or Dunkley. Oh, geez, Simpkin at M8. Do you know what? I'm just going to say spend 2 and get a Sarong.
Get a Sarong. Yeah.
I agree.
Simple.
We all agree, boys?
Yeah. Richmond, West Coast, Geelong on the run home.
Yeah, and I think it's like that M8 position. It's still a pretty coveted position.
You don't play around with it.
Yeah, agreed, mate. So, yeah, go up to one of the big boys.
60 points to Sarong a week.
Yep, absolutely, mate. Yep, all the best, Jules. Our next is from Nick Killer. Hey, mate. Hey, legends. Thinking Rebels, Sexton to Rosie Caldwell. Rosie will be the 23rd primo, or so I go Sexton Garcia to Rosie Simpkin. Leaves 3 trades left with a rank of 133. Well done, mate. Hoping to finish inside the top 100 for the first time.
Well done, mate. Rosie Caldwell.
Rosie Caldwell. Yep, with you, mate.
Yep.
All right, Dukey, how are you, mate? I finished my team with 5 trades and have 5 as 23rd primo. Which one? Option 1, hold for the week and see how 5 goes. Option 2, move 5 to Sam de Koning in 1 trade.
No.
Rodney maintains a ruck roll.
No. You're not moving on 5. He's a 23rd. You don't move on your 23rd.
Just leave it. I'd hold your trades.
Yeah. All right. Keep on to him, Dukey. All the best, mate. Our next one is from Cielvis. Hey, mate. Hey, boys. 5 trades left. Thinking of going Luke Jackson and Salem to Sinclair and Simpkin. I just don't like trading out your ruck cover.
No,
because as soon as you trade him out, your ruckman's going to get injured.
Spills, we've used him how many times already this year, mate? Like
at least 4.
He's been great cover. Look, I know he's frustrating to have. Ideally, you look to loop him, like I hopefully will be able to do. But no, I wouldn't be trading Jackson out, mate. I think he's the bloke that people would like to have on their side, just as that extra security, mate. He could potentially save you a trade in ruck. All the best, man. Green eggs and ham. Hey, man. Sexton to Rosie with 3 trades and 50K in the bank, or Sexton and Reville for a dead rookie and a player of my choice. Probably the same amount in the bank. Sexton to Rosie with 3 trades. Sexton and Reville for a dead rookie and a player. I reckon just Sexton to Rosie.
No.
Keep your 3 trades, mate.
Yeah.
Agree, boys?
I think that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, thanks, man. ADogs09. Hey, lads. Keen to see how you rank the Uber mids in less than 60% of teams. Thanks for support this year. Oh, that's obviously going to be...
I just had a very quick look at. There's only 3 players in the competition who have more than 60% ownership.
Oh, okay.
There's Dacos, Heaney, and Sheasel. I think we chatted that Bont, Sarong, Butters, Merritt, LDU is probably the top 5 in that order, and then you have a bunch of players like your Lockie Neal, Errol Goulden, Dunkley in that probably next tier. Trelaw probably in there as well. And you could then really just put a blanket over a bunch of players like Walsh, Rao, Steele, Anderson, just basically Warner, all these types of players that are neither here nor there, probably hit that 105 mark but don't set the world on fire, probably that way. So if you don't have any of those top 8 that I mentioned, those are probably the ones that you want to be looking for. Cheers,
beautiful, mate. Cheers, brother. Next one.
Every question's about a 23rd.
Yeah, they're all about the 23rd.
I think we need to nail
very
all
quickly,
of them
guys.
in one sort
Sexton
of
v
answer.
Baker. Sexton v Baker.
He's not
I
looking
like
to
that.
bring in Sexton. I wouldn't be bringing in Sexton. No way. His job security is dodgy as is.
So Baker then,
Yeah.
if that's the case, at least we know his job security is good. Go with
Yeah.
JD, mate. Join the train. Jamie, and I think Daz is our last one, boys.
Yeah.
I have 5 trades and
nice.
560k to make my defensive upgrade. Who would you recommend? Could trade Clary down to Rosie, which will allow me to bring in Sinclair, or is it just making the upgrade and keeping the 4 trades?
565k. Let's have a look.
There's not much.
Yo's a great pick, I reckon. Yo,
Yes.
Yeah.
Go, yo.
I think
I agree.
Our boy Dale.
Our boys, Spills, we committed, mate. And
or
we went
Bailey
through it.
Dale. Bailey Dale, I think, is
Really
also
rewarded.
a great pick. Bailey Dale and a player we haven't mentioned at all, James Sicily. I reckon James Sicily is in for a big end of the year.
I'm still going Yo.
Yeah.
I
So
think-
just very quickly, how would you rank these 4 boys? Yo, Dale, Sicily, Ed Richards. Off the dome.
probably like that. Maybe Ed in front of Sicily, maybe. But I think I like Yo. I think Dale is good, but Yo, we saw he was like ballistic at the start of the year, like clear. I think they're all really good picks. Like I'd be happy with particularly Yo. Yeah, particularly Yo and
I'd probably put it in that order. Maybe Dale just above Yo. No. Sorry. Yo, Dale, Sicily, Richards. In that order.
I think Yo and Dale, you can't go wrong. They're both really good.
Dale for that security.
Yeah.
Just with the injury risk that Yo has, I reckon.
I agree.
The only change I would make is I'd probably have Sicily last, and I'd have Richards just in front of Sicily personally.
Don't mind that.
Same
you
as
know,
me,
it is
mate.
what it is. And last one we've got here, we got to all the questions, boys. That is absolutely phenomenal. Awesome.
Well done.
As a whole, hey, boys, which strategy is most effective in climbing ranks post buys? Do we, 1, upgrade underperforming primos like your Martin, Clary, Neal, etc., and have 22 great primos? I think we've pretty much asked this. Try to go to 23rd primo to loop. Hold trades for injuries. Good luck this week. Daz. Well, I suppose it depends.
Ideally a mix of everything, isn't it?
I was just going to say that, Janath. I was just going to like just a little bit of everything. Like, you know, do that luxury, but allow the 3 trades. Like maybe a 23rd if they're cheap. Like just balance it out, man.
Let's answer Daz's question in this. How many trades after you get your 23rd would you ideally want to have before you start contemplating sideways trading?
It'd be 1 for me.
4 trades,
I'm going to have 1. I'm going to have 1
If you
trade.
had 4 trades, next week would you sideways?
Absolutely. Like, I don't see why not. I've got 2 trades now, and I think I'll be fine. It's risky, but...
You're going to be fine. You're really on the edge of danger, mate.
I'll be right, mate. Have some
You'll
faith.
be all right. I know you'll be all right.
You'll be right. Pretty good side, but touch wood. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think 4 is good, but I don't know.
DR, what would you say in terms of how many trades before sidewaysing?
You got to have 4 or more.
Yeah.
You got to have 4 or more for me.
It's that 3 weeks per trade plus 1 for the final week theory that I sort of put forward a couple of weeks ago. I reckon that sort of fits in now. 9 rounds to go, 4 trades, 3 for every week, plus that 1 sort of security blanket for the last week or wherever sort of trade. Yeah.
Sorry, boys, just very, very quickly. I just want to go back to J Rules at the top because he's the only one we didn't get to. And I said 2 team dependent. So, mate, we will very, very quickly get to this now. Putting Fisher down back and Martin in defense. Who should I get to finish up the mid? Neil, Dunkley, Yo for the DPP swing or someone else? So, look, I don't mind.
They're all good picks.
Wouldn't mind Dunkley or Yo. Depends how you want to play with that money.
I like Yo's defensive mid DPP.
Yeah.
But
I'd love to see
in there
who's
as well.
got bench.
Yeah.
Like
I'm saying Yo or Dunkley.
Who's here?
I'm going to say Yo and Dunkley.
Is there like Sexton here that can
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dawson? Is it?
That's a good one.
Yeah, maybe just show us your bench, mate. Maybe reply with who's on your bench, mate. But I don't mind Lockie Neal myself, mate, with Yo for the upside. All right, boys. Mailbag done.
Oh,
big effort.
Went monster in this, boys. This is a huge effort.
Let's start to turbo through, boys. Thank you again to everyone that left a question. And again, we got to everyone. Well done, boys. Well done. Good effort.
Focus
All right,
away, Janath.
Captain's Corner,
Boys,
Janath.
I'm just gonna give you my top. I'm gonna give you my top 4 picks.
Beautiful.
give you
And
my
anyone
pick.
can just
James
take a look at
Zorko.
the pick. So pause it and screenshot it. Do what you want.
This
Actually, no. Even better, go to the third man up. You can see it down there, down the bottom.
Gonna have the
At
full
third man up.
version. This is the abridged version. I'm gonna give you the abridged version of the abridged version. So
Beautiful, mate.
James Zorko, number 1, 154 average. So he's gone 141, 161, 160 last 3 games. The Gabba playing Melbourne, who gives up the 3rd most points to designated kickers, which is the position James Zorko plays. He was tagged by McEntee for that 104. Should have scored more than 141 the previous week against St Kilda. I think it's just a lock and load. Captain, I'd stay away from Max Gawn. I think Melbourne won against North Melbourne, even though unconvincingly. Oscar McInerney is a good ruckman. I really can't see Melbourne being competitive in this matchup. Let's knock on wood for that one for your boys, DR.
Yes.
The North
hopefully,
Melbourne
Janath.
Bulldogs game is a very interesting one. Bontempelli, does he get the Phillips tag? If he doesn't, he's going to get off the chain. That's the thing. Like, how do you play that one? LDU to keep up his good form. My next big captaincy calls come in the Gold Coast Collingwood game. There's 2 players of interest. One is Sam Flanders. If he's playing the designated kicker role, we've seen in games previously of how Collingwood give up bulk points to designated kickers. We saw it with Luke Ryan at Optus Stadium. We saw it Bailey Dale as well. But but Sam Flanders in that role is just a pig. Hasn't gone under the ton, so I think he's a really safe captaincy option. Nick Dacos, the other one. 2 games at People First Stadium for 149, 143. No one really tags at Gold Coast. Dimmer's never really tagged, so I think this is a game that you can get a scot-free. Probably maybe one of the last times we can captain Nick Dacos for the year. In a sad way. So, yeah, I think he's definitely one, and Gold Coast have been giving up points to inside mids as well. And then the other sort of pick that I really like is Dan Houston against St Kilda. We've seen how obviously St Kilda give up bulk points to designated kickers with Dane Zorko, Sam Flanders, those kind of players. Houston's in good form, scored 174 a couple of weeks ago. And so those are probably my big 4. Charlie Kerno is a real dark throw, but I would not be comfortable just
as
straight seeing him. He'd be a VC player.
That would be great.
Even Houston's a bit of a because who you falling back? Oh, Welsh, I guess, is pretty good.
I guess Houston would be your captain in that way.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
The last game is Hawthorn West Coast. So if you've got, I guess, a Yo, McGovern, but again, I'm not trusting them with captaincy. So it's like
Yoey boy,
Will Day, I guess. But my big 4 there: Zorko, Flanders, Dacos, Houston. I'll probably go Zorko into Dacos.
I think they're the big 2, Janath. I reckon
Zorko VC, lock it in. I reckon we should get a good score out of him. And then Dacos feels like a safe fallback.
Dacos goes, he's ballistic.
He goes ballistic.
His last 2 against Gold Coast. And that first 140 was in his first year. Like, he's a freak.
He's a freak.
He's
a genuine freak.
146 average against them, People First.
We've got a consensus. Do we have a consensus, DR?
Well, very quickly, I'm going different players from the same games. Originally in my plans anyway. So I was pretty keen on Lockie Neal. I'm expecting a big game from Chocky.
Don't mind it.
I don't think Melbourne's midfield's much chop at the moment. Neil Bullen, I'm slightly concerned about, but being the vice captain, if he doesn't go for him, I think there's high upside there.
That's good.
And then it's actually Sam Flanders for me over Dacos.
No,
I just think that
fair enough.
He's safe. But what I like about Flanders this week, not only is he the same safe Flanders, this is the ceiling or the upside game given his opposition.
No, I like that.
That's why I prefer Flanders as that backup option. I just think he's so safe with the added upside this week with opposition.
Yeah. And the only thing is it's just one of those games where you just be kicking yourself if that's the big Dacos game.
You will, you're right.
That's what I'm worried about. But no. And look, it's great that we were on the same page leading into this, that it was going to be one of the Brizzy players into one of those players from that game. Just shows that we've sort of interpreted the data. We feel the same way about the game. That's brilliant. So, look, do we just want to touch on our trades to finish up with?
Yeah, look, we've pretty much already gone through it, haven't we? With obviously our final sides. But look, this is most likely going to change for me now, and this often happens during a podcast. It may be Mr. Curnow, or else it may be Clayton Oliver and Rawlinson. Sorry, Clayton Oliver out, and maybe LDU. So that's a decision I'm now going to make. So I'll give him my 3 potential trades. It's either going to be this, it'll be this, but Curnow instead of Caldwell, or else it'll be Oliver and Brucey Boy with, say, an LDU and your Rawlinson. So
how much money left after this trade?
Left after this trade here. Sorry, mate. I'll have 28,800.
Okay.
So not much. If I go the false drop option, then I can't loop, and I haven't got as much in the bank. And so after discussing this as well, I'm most likely going to go that loop option there, mate, over your false drop. Yeah, I think.
No, sounds good,
so yeah, pretty basic. When I say pretty basic, it's not at all. It's very complicated what I'm going to do this week. Who knows? But they're probably the 3 options I'm looking at. Spilsy. Now, Spilsy, you obviously haven't got 4 trades here, mate. You're not double boosting. But very quickly, mate, originally you were looking to go the first couple here, but then you've changed your mind, mate. You've already basically discussed it, mate, but very quickly, mate. Do you want to quickly touch on it again, mate?
Look, I probably won't touch on it too much because we did do that in the potty, but what I will say is I'm so stuck on the fence with this that like I'm starting to get splinters on my ass. Like it's tough. It's really hard. I don't know whether or not to go like Curnow, the sort of that keeper, or like with Simkin, I'm almost locking myself into getting Rankin, which is good in theory because he's F4 and I think clear top 4 forward. But when we looked at the spreadsheets that Janath made up for the tags coming, I think Rankin had a few there. So maybe that's something I want to keep in mind.
Rankin or Dawson. Yeah.
Yeah, but do they? It's a really tricky one. Like, do I just play Curnow and just because he's pretty consistent, like just the one score under 70, or do I look for that quick cash grab from Simkin, finalize that forward line? It's really elite. I just don't know, boys. I'm stuck with these two. I think they're both really good trades, but I'm not sure. I need some help with these two, I reckon. Honestly.
All good. And
lots of things about Spills.
I'd go Curnow over Simkin, just personally, mate. But that's in my position. For you with the cash, I'd go Simkin above Curnow. And I guess just to finish on my trades, Sexton and Clark to Rosie and Rankin. So those are the 2 moves that are sort of plotted from last week. Sort of take the point.
That's such good trades, by the way.
Or go that sort of upgrades there. Get that 23rd in and just finish it up. And so
they're the best trades.
We're in a good position,
that is
boys.
So good. Like Sexton and Clark up to Rosie and Rankin. It's just
what? How's that work? How much money do you have in the bank?
That's I have 367k before these trades.
Yeah, okay. That probably makes more sense.
And 45k left up. Yeah.
Well, mate, there's one word for
legends.
That's elite. That is absolutely elite. And do you know what? Not to pat ourselves on the back too much, an elite type podcast here. We're just going to get under 2 hours here.
I think this is probably our best one. Like we went into it, especially like look at the effort that Janath and Ross put in with those sheets. I mean, like where do we start, DR? Every week we touch on it, but tonight was the spreadsheets on steroids. Let's be honest. It was It was like being in a Supercoach lecture or a Supercoach like studying. I'm studying Supercoach in university, and like
that would be fun.
Great. It is just crazy. So good stuff, boys.
Yeah, well, boys. I don't know if you've seen in the private chat here. I've just realised, like Dad said about 2 minutes ago, I had 6 minutes worth of charge on my battery here. I've left my charger at school, I reckon. So I'll have to duck back and grab it to upload it tonight, right? I've been panicking, right? I've been checking it out. I'm like, I won't say anything. I'm like, we need to finish up soon. So, boys, I reckon it's a bit of a sign. I think we've just ticked over the 2 hour mark here. So What an
Just
epic
under.
episode.
1
I
minute.
suppose it's almost a celebration, congratulations type stuff. The fact that we are now beginning to finish our sides. And look, if you won behind, that's all good. If you won in front, you're already running with that 23rd primo, then you've obviously got a very, very high rank. But boys, it is always an absolute pleasure. Spills, I'm not going to put the pressure on you, mate, to let us end with something, really special and over the top, mate. But any final words? I won't say of wisdom from you, mate, but any final words, mate, before we let the viewers and listeners go for this week?
I think like it has been a pleasure. Like, I'll be honest, I think this is the last real in-depth relevant potty from now. Like, I think I won't be surprised too much if the viewership dropped off a lot next week, because I think everyone's sort of completing their sides and you're going to be holding your trades and stuff. So yeah, I feel like we've made it. It's been a good year, and we just keep consistently doing our potties, and I think they'll be a lot shorter as well. So I think, yes, it's just ticked over 2 hours now. So I think this will be the last real big one, and yeah, it's always a pleasure.
But we
boys.
still got things planned. We have things planned.
There's still things planned.
That's an Easter egg. We've got some very big guests coming on.
Yeah. So we do have some special guests. But in terms of the real Supercoach team relevant, the mailbag, etc., I think this is the last one, like the real last big boy episode. So I got through it really well, lads. What a season it's been so far. It's just been the best thing doing the potty on a Tuesday night. But huge day, boys. So I work all day. I go home, I grab my footy gear, I go training, I come home, I have my dinner, I shower, and then jump on the podcast. It's like 10:30 now, and I have been just bloody on, and I have not stopped. So, but I wouldn't change anything, boys. Talking Supercoach with you two legends till late. It doesn't get better. We love the community too. So yeah, I'll end on those words. But
100%.
it's probably
I love
unreal.
that. So Spills, end us there. I didn't mean end us for the season, mate. Viewers are dropping off.
No, not the season.
It's
not
like
the
we
season.
Got to round 24, mate.
No, I'm just saying, like, I really think it'll drop off a lot. So for those that are probably going to tune out,
Essendon season, are you?
Oh, come on, Janath. Come on, mate. We leave Melbourne once for the rest of the year. So that's another story.
Words. Oh, Janath, I love it, mate. Now, Janath,
the lid
I
is
will
off.
actually end this, mate. I will end this because I just do have
Supercoach.
because I do have a very special shout out just at the end here. Any final words from you, Janath, before I finish this off for the week, mate?
I guess just very quickly, a pod is a pod that you choose to make. An antipod is a antipod that you choose to make. Don't make antipod for the sake of doing so. It's really bad. And also a very special shout out. We hit 2,500 followers on the Third Man Up account today, so that's a pretty big milestone. 5K.
You just jumped me. So kudos.
I just want to say thank you to you boys for hyping us up, pumping our tires up a little bit, and making sure that we just be able to pump out great content on a weekly basis.
Least we can do. It's the best intel on Supercoach. Change my mind. Is there a better 100%. Supercoach insight stats analysis page on Twitter?
That's what our aim is, and to keep it free as well. It's a big sort of thing that Ross and I have said that we want to do from the get go
for everybody. Everyone can do it. So.
It's elite, boys. And just final shout out, bloke. You won't be surprised that I forgot to do this. I was meant to mention it at the start, but it's my best mate Brent. You've seen him on the potty here before. Going through a bit of a tough time in hospital at the moment with his vision and eyes at the moment. So, bloke, wishing you a very, very speedy recovery. Unfortunately, this week, mate, we had that many charts. You just have to take my word for it. But given the fact that the site is actually gone, mate, it's probably not the best week for you to actually tune in. But hopefully, we've actually explained the charts well enough for you, mate, to get a bit of info from it, mate. But from the three of us, mate, thoughts with you, mate. Heart goes out to you, and hopefully catch up very, very soon, mate. And I'll have to give you a call one night just as you go on to bed, like reading your bedtime story, mate. I'll give you all the Supercoach averages and all the rest, mate.
They're not be in the night garden, they are.
Oh, mate, Macca-Packer and Eagle Piggle. I get nightmares from those.
Macca-Packer and Eagle Piggle.
Not even going there. Rivers banned from it, mate. Rivers banned from it, mate. Nah,
Oh,
get some
okay.
Ninja Turtles into your 80s kid style, Riv. That's what I say anyway.
Oh,
But,
that's awesome.
boys, talk about a ramble. That is it. We're going to finish up now. I am on 1%, boys. So much love, much peace. And thank you very much to everyone who's tuning in as always. The pod would be nothing without you. And looking forward to next week already. Cheers, guys. All the best.
Cheers, lads.
Bye.
Good stuff, boys.
Hey.
Catch you.